Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to some more Umineko Chapter 5. Battler has successfully defeated his own ally at the identification of whether or not Kinzo is dead by presumably stepping down into the game and jumping out a window. It was a really weird scene. He caught Beato and Princess carried her around. They got some interesting opinions on what Battler and Beato's relationship is like. Battler is very confused, and I'm just as confused why he likes Beato. I mean, I don't hate Beato, but you know, I'd probably be focused on saving my family, considering a lot of these scenes. Considering she's apparently like torturing you for her own amusement and killed you hundreds of times. And killed your family. Battler is very taken with her for someone who has suffered so much. I believe this is Stockholm Syndrome, where you fall in love with your captor. I believe that's where Battler's at. He's at the part where he straight up catches her and like whispers sweet nothings in her ear, unironically. Not 5 minutes after she brutally murders your sister. Yeah, it's a curious thing. But hey, I guess I can't complain too much about how the author's shown us how Battler developed Stockholm Syndrome. That's probably one of the more believable parts of this tale. Let's get into this. In the Golden Land, the quiet rain just kept on falling. In the arbor sat the sad witch whose eyes had lost their glint, and Battler. Virgilia could also be seen there. Great. She sat next to Beato, knitting quietly. The ominous, evil knitter. She's knitting. Who knows what she's knitting up? Actually, fun fact, one of my friends knitted up a Gimli's helmet with the beard. So anyone could be a dwarf. That was great. That was a cool hat. Lambda Delta's game had passed the climax of the first Twilight, and they were taking a short break. Gazing out at the golden rose garden soaked in rain, Battler considered the present, which was what was to come, and what had happened so far. To Battler, the act of thinking itself was a battle. Even with the game stopped and Beato unable to speak, he could still keep on fighting. Virgilia suddenly stopped her knitting. Yeah, the reliability of the narrator in this story is questionable because A, the narration is showing us things that we are obligated to believe didn't happen, and B, the narrator seems quite biased towards Beatrice. Even Battler is starting to become enamored with Beatrice, so I'm thinking like, the more he believes in Beatrice and likes her, the more likely he's gonna see magical shit. Because remember, Battler has also seen, like, the Golden Land and shit. Like, he's seen that. He's seen the magic duels in person. So we can, if we want to write out magic, we have to write out some stuff like that. We can write out scenes that even Battler's in. Yeah, it was Lambda's rule that killed NJ? Yes. It's Lambda's rule, but Lambda is on Beato's team, sort of. And she's only there because of Beato. Virgilia suddenly stopped her knitting. Uh-oh. Battler noticed it too, because though a nun should have been able to visit this rose garden, she noticed a silhouette approaching. That's unusual. Oh? Who's visiting? How many people are capable of reaching this place? Right. It's her. The silhouette which walked amidst the quietly falling rain without so much as an umbrella was Dlanor. That was a spectacular garden maze. A splendid way to enjoy the roses. Why are you here?
お久しぶりです、ミセス・ベアトリーチェ。
It's been some time, Mrs. Beatrice.
はいえ、今はミセス・ワルギリアでしたか。
Wait, it's Mrs. Virgilia, is it not?
久しぶりですね、ドラノール。
Long time no see,
さ
Dlanor.
あ、こちらへ。
On over here.
客人を雨に濡らすもてなしなど、私たちは心得ません
We
よ。
aren't ones to leave a guest out in the rain. Where is there to stand obscured from the rain? This arbor looks like the roof is see-through. Or not see-through, but like a metal grate, effectively.
大丈夫。
Or
彼女は戦いに来たわけではありませんよ。
she's not here to fight.
知り合いなのか？
Do you know her?
天界の古い友人の一人です。
She's one of my old friends from heaven.
ずいぶん懐かしいですね。
Takes me back.
懐かしいです。ミセス・
Yes.
ワルギリアは天界学問にも造形が深くおられる。
Mrs. Virgilia possesses a deep knowledge in heavenly
よ
studies.
く解釈をめぐって議論を戦わせたものです。
I've often argued with her over interpretations.
あなたとの数々の知的冒険は楽しかったですよ。
My many intellectual adventures with you are quite enjoyable.
またいつかご
I'd
一
like to do
緒
it
したい
again
ものですね。
sometime.
ええ、
Yes.
またいつかご一緒に必ず。
Let's do it again sometime.
あなたとはぜひまた戦いたいです。
I'd love to fight with you again. They used the word fight, but they didn't sound like they meant anything unpleasant by it. It sounded like something old chess rivals would say to each other. Unlike Beato, it seems Virgilia always behaved properly and courteously. She had many friends in various other worlds, including both heaven and the demon world. Surprisingly, Dlanor was one of them. Dlanor had crossed swords with me just a short while ago. She ducked her head like someone taking shelter from a sudden rain and sat in the seat Virgilia pointed out like a guest.
紅茶に希望はありますか？
Is there any type of black tea you would prefer?
何でも。あなたの入れた紅茶ならどれでも絶品です。
Any tea you make is superb.
では、ダージリンを。
How about some Darjeeling?
バ
I
ト
really
ラ
like
君も
Darjeeling.
ベアトもおかわりはいりますか？
Badler Beato, would you like some more?
ああ、
Sure.
俺もベアトももらうぜ。
Beato and I would like a refill.
な、
Right? As usual, Beato didn't answer. But if you quietly gave her a cup, she would sip it from time to time. There was still some black tea left in the cup, but it had already chilled. Badler asked for a refill for Beato as well.
お噂には聞いておりました。
I've heard the rumors.
残虐で知られた無限の魔女ベアトリーチェも
How pitiable that the Beatrice, endless witch famous for her
こう
cruelty,
なっては寂しいものです。
has been reduced to this.
こいつはもうゲームには参加してねえよ。
She's no longer participating in the game.
ゲーム版のこいつを操ってるのはラムダデルタだ。
Lambda Delta is the one controlling the Beato on the game board.
存じております。
I know.
ですが本来のこの世界の主です。
However, she is the original master of
そ
this
して
world.
あなたはその主に招かれた正当な客人です。
Or the proper guest invited by that master.
ですからこうしてご挨拶に参じました。
That's why I've come to pay my respects. On the game board, Beato and I met Dlanor. But those were game pieces of these witches. They weren't Beato and me ourselves. Yet weirdly enough, Badler seemed to have your exact personality and memories, enough to be in love with Beatrice despite having never met her or given a fuck about her or barely even remembering her from the last time you visited the mansion. Feels
だ
so
か
random.
らわざわざここまでバトラ君とベアトに挨拶に来てくれたのですか？
Is that why you went out of your way to greet Badler and Beato here?
相変わらず律儀な子ですね。
I see you're as conscientious as ever.
私の流儀です。
My way of doing things.
はじめまして、ミスター・バトラー。
Greetings, Mr. Badler.
ドラノール・エノックスと申します。
I'm Dlanor Enoch.
敵対する役ではありますが、よろしくお願いいたします。
We play opposing roles, but it's a pleasure to meet you.
おう、
I guess I can see how Dlanor is a feminine name. It's very close to Eleanor, right? If you just remove the... If you replace the D with an E, it could be Eleanor. Very close to Eleanor.
後ろ宮バトラーだ。
Sure. I'm Ashirimiya
よろし
Butler.
く頼むぜ。
Pleased to meet you.
はじめまして、ミス・ベアトリーチェ。
Greetings,
ドラ
Beatrice.
ノール・エノックスと
I'm
申しま
Dlanor
す。
A. Knox.
ベアトラ
ベアト
お前に挨拶してるぜ。
Just saying hi.
歓迎するとさ。
He says welcome.
ありがとうございます。
Thank you
ミ
very
ス
much,
ベアトリーチェ。
Miss Beatrice. The witch and the Inquisitor of Heresy, whose job it was to hunt witches, greeted each other around the tea table, surrounded by the aroma of black tea. It was a strange sight. Virgilia made some gold butterflies sprout from the palms of her hands and transformed them into a teapot and a can of tea leaves. Handy, isn't it? Magic. It was a very witch-like way to make tea. Of course, she actually was a witch, so that scene wasn't particularly bizarre in itself. So I was a bit concerned about whether Dlanor, an Inquisitor of Heresy, could watch such a spectacle.
ご安心を。
Do not worry.
私は振る舞われる紅茶の立て方に口を挟むほど無粋ではありません。
I'm not so boorish as to complain about how my tea is served,
魔法で紅茶を入れているのにか
even though the tea is being made with magic.
物陰に紅茶の道具があり、私たちに隠れてミセス・バルギリアが紅茶を入れている。
The tea set hiding in the shadows, and Miss Virgilia is making us tea with it in
そ
secret.
れを魔法で入れたと私たちが解釈・判断し、物語に記した。
We interpret or judge that it was made with magic, and it is written as such in the
ノッ
tale.
クス第9条でも認められる解釈です。
That interpretation is allowed by Knox's ninth.
おやおや
Oh my.
9条の解釈は大法院でもタブー視されるほどのデリケートな問題のはず。
I believe the interpretation of the ninth is such a delicate problem it's viewed as a taboo even in the Great
私
Court.
的発言とはいえ首席異端審問官の発言と知られれば首が飛ぶかもしれませんよ。
Even though it's a personal opinion, if it became known the head Inquisitor of Heresy said such a thing, you might be sacked.
私がどのような解釈を記そうとも、
No matter what interpretation I
ミ
record
セ
it
ス
with,
の紅茶の味を何ら偽ることにはなりません。
there are no lies in the taste of your tea.
ですから、私はその立て方を気にすることはないのです。
And therefore, I won't worry about how it was prepared.
ほう
Though she looked cold, she was a surprisingly tactful person. If Dlanor were to deny the black tea had been prepared with magic, this magic would surely be crushed in an instant. However, the possibility had been presented that a tea set existed and been used to make the tea normally, so the fact that Virgilia made the tea was in fact undisputed.
結果を闇に閉ざす魔法は邪悪です。
Magic that hides the result in darkness is evil. Tea
私
doesn't
たち
lie.
は許さない。
I will not permit
し
it.
かし、家庭を包む魔法は邪悪とは限りません。
However, magic that enshrouds the process is not necessarily evil. I mean, if you think about it, even simple contraptions could be called magic if you aren't aware of how the magic works. Even something as simple as a light bulb could be contested if you're unaware of the process, right? So saying you don't know the process, but you know that there's an output, is kind of okay, as long as it's replicatable for Dlanor here, right? That would be like a reasonable argument. You're like, explain the process for sending an email. Like, if you can't explain every step of the process, it doesn't exist, and I can contest it. Like, that seems like bullshit. So, seems fair. If the exact process is enshrouded, it's not necessarily
私の
wrong.
敵は邪悪であって、魔法そのものではないのです。
My foe is evil itself, not magic.
なるほどな
I
紅茶
see.
のもてなしが出てくることが重要なんであっ
The
て
important thing is you're being served tea.
その立て方についてどうこう突っ込まないのが客の礼儀ってわけか
So it's just a common courtesy to avoid complaining about how it was made. That's right. When someone makes tea for you, it's common courtesy to be grateful. There's nothing elegant about pushing your way into the kitchen and criticizing how they brew it.
台所は客人を招く場所ではありません。
You don't invite your guests into the kitchen.
そしてそこよりの配膳はもてなしの心で美しく飾られるべ
And when
き
you
で
set
す。
the table, you should adorn it beautifully in the spirit of hospitality.
どうぞ。暑
you go.
いですよ。
Careful, it's hot.
ありがとうです。
Arigato des. Alright. Thank you.
砂糖とミルクも欲しいです。
I would like some sugar and milk.
まだストレートでは飲めませんか？
You still can't drink it straight?
子供なので
I'm a kid.
甘くないとダメです。
It must be sweet.
魔法ってのは
Well then,
優しい
is magic
嘘
a gentle
なのか。
lie?
嘘というと聞こえが悪
The
いで
word
すね。
lie makes it sound
日
bad.
本語で表現する場合は就職と
The word
呼んだ方がよりふさわしいでしょう。
Embellishment is probably more fitting.
子供に飴を与えるとき、
When giving a child candy, you can take a crumpled up one out of your
ポケッ
pocket,
トの中でぐしゃぐしゃになったのを出して与えるのと、
or you can use a clever sleight of hand trick to take the
素
candy out.
敵な手品を見せてそこから飴を出して与えたので
The
は、
impression
与える
given
感情が全く違うはずです。
the impression given by each method varies greatly.
そ
Okay.
りゃ手品でポンと飴を出された方が
Yeah, it would look cooler if you took it out with a little magic trick.
違います。
Wrong.
飴を与えるという結果に対し、より美しく楽しい就職を与えたことに意味があるのです。
There is meaning in the fact that the result, giving them candy, has been adorned to be even more beautiful and fun.
マリアちゃんに飴をあげるとき、
Think of when you give Maria-chan
ポ
a
ケットから出
candy.
して与えるのと、
There's a huge difference between taking it out of your pocket
普
to
段
give
か
to
ら
her
良い子にしていたから
and
妖
slipping
精
it
さん
into
が
her
持って
pocket.
きてくれこっそりポケットに忍ばせるのは
And then we
全
say a
く
fairy
違
gave
う
it to her for
と
being
いう
such a
意味
good
です
girl.
よ。
Of course, fairies give Maria candy all the time. They're great.
それを全員のアリバイを調べて、
In my opinion, it would be boorish to then question everyone about their alibis and pinpoint who it was that slipped it into her pocket.
誰がポケットに忍ばせたのか調べ上げて特定するのは、私は無粋なことと思っ
The
てい
important
ます。
thing is the result. The girl received the candy and rejoiced
飴を受け取り、少女が喜んだという結果こそが重要で
that it
す。
was
そ
embellished
して少女を喜ばせるために就職されたことが意味あることなのです。
in a way that made her rejoice. Okay,
意外だな。
that's surprising.
魔法と名がつけば全否定みたいな感じで登場しやがったのに。
When you showed up, I got the feeling you deny anything that went by the name of magic.
異端審問官としてはそう振る舞います。
That is how I act in my capacity as Inquisitor of Heresy.
職務ですので。
It is my
で
job.
すが、職務を
He's like,
離れ
"That's
てい
just
る
my job.
時は
That's just my day
そ
job."
こまで冷酷になりたくありません。
However, when I'm away from my job, I don't enjoy being quite so cold-hearted.
勤務中は市場は持ち込まないってわけか。
You set personal feelings aside when on duty.
できるやつだな。
You do well.
異端審問官として魔女を狩るのは仕事です。
As an Inquisitor of Heresy, hunting witches is my job.
しかし、一個人としては魔女を憐れんでいます。
However, I personally find witches pitiable.
しかし、異端審問官としては無慈悲に断罪します。
I carry out judgment mercilessly as an Inquisitor.
結果において、私が魔女たちを処刑するのに変わりはない。
But in the end, it doesn't change the fact that I sentence witches to death.
私の憐れみなど、
Remember running to
所
witches.
詮は無駄な就職に過ぎません。
In the end, my pity is nothing more than a useless embellishment.
あってもなくても何も変わらない。
Whether I have it or not, nothing
な
changes.
ら、なくてもいい。
It would be better if I didn't.
そんなことはありません
That's
よ。
not quite true.
結果が同じでも心が違えば大きく意味が異なることもあります。
Even if the ends are the same, what's in your heart makes a big difference, does it now, Virgilia?
あなたの母が焼いたクッキーは優れたパティシエが作るクッキーより
Your mother's cookies
と美味しかったは
are
ず。
clearly more delicious than those made by a good pastry shop. Yes, because they're actually good.
それは
Actually, pastry
心
shells
が
too
込められていることを知っているからですよ。
That's because you know they were made with heart. No, my mom actually just makes better pies and cookies. I'm willing to contest that. I'm willing to contest whether or not your average store that sells pie and cookies sells as good cookies as my mom, irrespective of your belief in that, and the love that went into them. Mostly because, I mean, my mom snuck in some store-bought stuff before, and I'm like, this is not very good. What happened? I mean, there are some really good store-bought cookies, though. I gotta give them that. Runaway talking in the background, like, are you saying your mom makes better cookies than me? Maybe. I don't know. I guess there's a few cookies that aren't quite comparable. Like I haven't seen any in my family try to make Oreos. I don't know if they would be better. That's right.
結果が同じに見えても
Even if the result looks the same, but I can confidently say I can confidently say like berry pie, blueberry pie, pumpkin pie, all better. The lace cookies are probably better. The butter tarts are definitely better. The something chip cookies are usually better. I have to say usually. Plot twist, Runaway is his own mother. He's a demon. He's a what like a Duke of Hell? Yeah, he's probably not got parents. Alright. Even if the result looks the same.
真心ってやつがあるかないかで
There's warmth behind the feelings of whoever gave it to you. Makes a big difference.
そうでしょうか。
Is that so?
私の心などあってもなくても何の意味もない。
Whether I have a heart or not is completely meaningless. Dlanor's gaze fell to her cup a little sadly.
なことはね
Not true?
今の話を聞いて俺はお前の見方を少し変えたぜ
After hearing all this, I've changed my view of you a
だ
bit.
から心が無意味なんてことは
And
絶
that's why
対にね
I'm certain the heart isn't meaningless. Okay. Virgilia was a little surprised to hear the words she should have said coming from Battler's mouth. After all, understanding the heart is the first step towards finding the essence of magic. By now, perhaps Battler has unconsciously started to understand bit by bit the essence of Beato, the essence of witches, and the very first essence of all magic. Whether you want to become a witch or vanquish them, the first step is learning about magic. Virgilia was sure.
先ほどの戦いではありがとうございました。
That she'd felt this faint change within Battler. And as for that last fight, thank you very much.
最後の最後に慈悲を与えてくれたこと感謝いたします。
I'm grateful for the mercy you showed me at the end.
あの俺は俺じゃねえぜ
That me wasn't me. It just happened to have your exact personality, speak like you, act like you, and have all of your memories.
ラムダデルタが操ってたんだ
Lambda Delta was controlling him. Lambda Delta acted exactly like Meta Battler. Interesting. I joined in on the 5th game partway through. I still haven't participated at this point in time. So until I do join in, the piece me is probably being controlled by Burn Castell or Lambda Delta.
あいつらどういう気まぐれだろうな
Just what kind of whims guiding
妙
them?
にかっこよくしてくれやがって
Trying to make it look all
あれじゃ
cool.
まるで俺がベアトを助けに来たナイト様みてえじゃない
Made me
か
look like some kind of knight coming to save Beato. Isn't that what you want to look like though, Battler?
ラムダデルタ教は魔女と人間のそれぞれが均衡しドローゲームとなることを望んでいます。
Lady Lambda Delta wants both witches and humans to be in a balance, resulting in a draw.
エリカの登場により天秤が人間側に大きく傾いたので
With Erica's appearance, the scales tipped strongly in the favor of the
ベ
human
アト
side.
に加担するように物語を操ったのでしょ
So
う。
she manipulates the tail in a way that supports Beato. So Lambda Delta can control Battler as well. Can she also control Erica if she doesn't like what Erica's doing? That's interesting. I thought you controlled your own pieces, not that people could literally seize control of the game, including friendly pieces. Interesting.
それは知っています。
I'm aware of that.
しかし駒は できないことはできない。
However, pieces cannot do things that are impossible for them.
そして本来の性格にふさわしい行為を得意とする。
And they specialize in actions appropriate to their original personality.
だからあれは確かにあなたのバトラの成し得たことです。
Therefore, that was certainly something that you, Battler, are capable
だか
of.
らあなたに感謝するのです。
That's why I'm grateful to you. She's like, I understand more about pieces than you. Shut the fuck up. Thanks. Shut up and take my
何
thanks.
もしてねえのに褒められるってのは妙な気
Feels
分
weird
だ
to be praised when I didn't do anything. Oh, but it's something you could have or may have done in
ゲ
the
ームがもう
situation.
少し進めば俺の駒も俺が操るようになるだろうよ。
If after the game continues a bit more, I'll probably regain control of my piece. Will you? Because Lambda Delta can probably just steal it out from under you now. I didn't know she could actually do that. I thought Battler was controlling his piece, or no one was controlling, or like Beato was always controlling stuff. The fact that Battler's piece is being contested by people, and other people can take turns using it is interesting. The Battler doesn't like really have any agency over his piece. Or he's claiming he'll regain control of it, so apparently he had control of it. Okay, that's interesting. So, if he's saying regain control, he's not saying gain control of his piece, he's saying regain, which means he had control of his piece in previous games. And was, or at least at some point during the previous games, he had control and chose not to do anything with it. So I think Battler was being incredibly passive. And again, like dialogue that says, you know, when he says like, oh, I passed my turn, there's nothing I want to do here. I think Battler's being a dumbass and not trying to win the game early on. Surely you could do some preparation for the murders or try to figure something out, like the epitaph, in your day's downtime before the actual murders start occurring for the first 4 chapters.
その時にも優しく手加減するかはわからねえぜ。
Not sure I'll be able to go easy on you then. Well, we'll see.
私も同じです。
It's the same with me. Oh?
次に太刀を交えるときは遅れは取りません。
The next time we cross swords, I won't hold back.
上等だ。相手してやるぜ。
Bring it on then, I'll be your opponent.
全力で来い。
Come at me with all you've got.
約束します。全力です。
I promise, with everything I got. Dlanor, huh? Thought she was an emotionless killer doll without a heart. But maybe she actually is pretty approachable. How is the living incarnation of Ronald A. Knox's rules not approachable? Were his rules not very approachable? I thought they were like mostly straightforward. She was remembering all 10 of them. Of course, neither of us will show any mercy when fighting on the game board. For a while, we gazed at the rain-drenched rose garden as we quietly enjoyed our tea. But all things must end, my friend.
一つ謝らねばなりません。
There's one thing I must apologize for. Oh, what are you apologizing for this time? With a sudden sigh, Dlanor muttered something.
何がだ。
Oh, what's
さ
that?
っきの戦いのことならもうノーサイドだぜ。
About the fight a short while ago, it's already
Okay.
over.
全力で戦ったろ。
We both fought with everything we had.
勝ち負けは時の運だぜ。
The outcome was just the luck of the draw.
いいえ、時の運ではありません。
Wasn't luck of the draw.
それに任せられなかったから、私は謝罪に訪れたのです。
I couldn't let it be, so I came here to apologize.
何の話だ。
What are you talking about?
勝ちを譲ったということですね。
You're saying you threw the match, aren't you? Virgilia spoke softly, without hesitating in her knitting. Ooh, we threw.
はい。
Correct.
ミスター・バトラー。
Mr. Battler.
ミスターはかゆいぜ。
That Mr. is really awkward. Well, that's how that's how she
Battlerでいい。
rolls. Just Battler works fine.
バトラー。
Battler.
謝罪します。
I apologize.
私たちは全力ではありませんでした。
We did not give everything we had.
分かっていますよ。
I know.
金蔵は全ゲーム開始時に死亡している。
Kinzo is dead at the starting time for all games.
すでにベアトによって語られている真実です。
Beato has already spoken the truth.
あの戦いはバトラ君には引き分けに持ち込めれば上々。
In that game, Battler could only have achieved a draw at best.
勝ち目は絶対にないはずの戦いでした。
He certainly had no chance at all of winning.
そうだな。
Yeah.
一言なぜその赤を使わなかった？
If you just say that, the whole fight's already over. Why didn't you use that red?
まさかステイルメイトだからとでも言うのか？
Don't tell me it's because of a stalemate or some BS like that.
ノックス第2条
Nox the second.
探偵方法に超自然能力の使用を禁ず。
It is forbidden for supernatural agencies to be employed as a detective technique.
その赤き真実を私たちは直接使うことができません。
We cannot use the red truth
しかし
directly.
窓が降雨後に開かれたことはないという赤き真実を
I gave Cornelia, who was protecting the
私は
window,
窓を守っていたコーネリアに持たせていました。
the red truth that the window was never opened after it started raining.
ドーン。
Boom.
そいつでチェックメイトだ。
That's checkmate.
どうしてあの姉ちゃんがその切り札を切らなかった？
Why didn't the girl use that trump card?
これは金系。我が赤が破れる道理はなし。
Allow me to speak.
そなたの望み叶うことなしと知りたまえ。
There's no way to defeat my red. No, your wish will not be granted. Though she fought calmly up until that point, she quickly got flustered when I dashed forward. I thought she'd been frightened by a sudden attack, but the truth was different. Even though she held a trump card that could completely repel me, she became unable to use it and hesitated.
わかりません。
I don't understand.
突然あの瞬間に切り札の使用が禁じられたのです。
In that instant, the use of the trump card became forbidden.
それを失った時点であなたの勝利は約束されました。
Once we lost that, your victory was guaranteed.
ゲームマスターラムダデルタ教の干渉でしょう。
The game master, Lady Lambda Delta, probably interfered. Guaranteeing Battler his victory. Interesting. So the game master interfered, preventing them from defending themselves? Okay.
あいつめ。
That bastard. I was thinking Erica just didn't have that one in her pocket, but alright.
結局あの戦いはすべてラムダデルタの手のひらでの茶番って
So
わ
in
け
the end, the whole fight was a farce in the palm of Lambda Delta's hand. Interesting
俺
note.
たちはあいつの筋書き通りにお芝居をやらされたってわけだ。
Made us play out the entire act according to her script. So it would seem.
不愉快とは思います。
I did not like it.
しかし全力で来いとおっしゃられたバトラにそれを打ち明けぬわけには
However,
いきま
since
せ
you
んで
told me
し
to
た。
fight with everything I had no choice but to let you know.
許
That's
し
fair.
てください。
So Lambda can block Universal Truth red text, apparently. That's gonna be interesting. If she can prevent the use of red text in a scenario where red text is the only answer, that's curious. Doesn't that just mean if Battler gets accused of something and has to defend himself, she can just say, no, you can't use red text, and he just insta-loses again? Abortion reveal style? Or not abortion, oh my goodness, adoption reveal style. Well, I mean, some people have been getting aborted. That poor kid that, Natsuhi murdered, he got aborted a little late, but, that's close enough. Aborted right off a cliff. Rest in peace, nameless person. I had no choice but let you know. Please forgive me.
それでもあなたは切り札を失っても残されたカードで全力で戦いましたよ。
Even though you lost your trump card, you kept fighting all out with your remaining cards.
あなたを非難など誰にできるでしょう。
I don't believe anyone could find fault with what you did.
そうだな。
Right, right.
むしろ余計なことをしやがってと。
On the contrary, you
Delta
should be mad at Lambda Delta for butting in.
金蔵が存在しないのはすでに確定事項のはず。
Kinzo doesn't exist should be already an established
ラムダ
fact.
デルタ教もベルンカステル教もそれをよくご存知のはずです。
Lady Lambda Delta and Burn Castell should know this well.
なのに2人とも金像が存在する余地を残してゲームを進めています。
And yet they both leave room for Kinzo to exist as they continue this
まるで
game.
2人で結託して金像を否定させないかのようです。
It's almost as though these two are conspiring to prevent Kinzo's existence from being denied.
つまりじい様をわざと逃がしたと。
In other words, they intentionally let grandfather escape? Perhaps.
はい。何かの意図があるに違いありません。
They must be after something. They're intentionally letting Kinzo's existence remain in play. So I can see why Lambda Delta is incentivized for that. I'm trying to figure out why Burn Castell wants that. I guess it's so she can destroy it later. If someone's using, like, Kinzo must have done it, she can say Kinzo doesn't exist. And destroy, like, a defense there. Like, maybe she's just trying to use destruction later at a more tactical interval. Maybe that's what the plan is. I have to assume Burn Castell is pretty smart, right? You seemed very confident, so we'll assume she's intelligent too. After all, even though Lambda Delta acts like a kid, she's apparently really powerful and smart, so... Like, we'll see. If she's supposed to be top tier, I mean, you gotta assume she's top tier just because you're told it.
確かに少しおかしいですね。
Otherwise, your immersion will completely wreck, right? That is
ラ
a
ム
bit
ダデ
odd.
ルタ教とベルンカステル教は魔女が優勢にならない限り対立する関係にあるはず。
Lady Lambda Delta and Burn Castell should be always be in opposition unless the witch side is in a superior
現
position.
在の流れでは2人が結託することは考
Hard to
えがた
imagine
い
they're
のですが
conspiring at a time like this. Well, well, well. It seems like you don't know as much as you let on, Virgilia.
私には何か邪悪な目的があるように思えてなりません。
I can't help but think they have some sort of wicked goal. That seems about right.
それをお伝えしたくて私はここまで参りました。
I came here because I wanted you to know that. They're planning something. We don't know what they're planning, but they're planning something. Okay, well, thanks for sharing with us, Nox. It's kind of handy, I guess. I wouldn't have considered that they're conspiring together to do something on the game board. I mean, obviously they're trying to mess with you. Trying to mess with you and Burn Castell, but I wasn't sure that they were actually conspiring together to do something. Other than just goof around and play the game. I think they still have bets on whether or not they'd win or lose, right? Like they're still personally competing against each other. So there's like no real reason why she'd want to lose, at least as far as I can tell. Maybe I'm mistaken though. Yeah, or at least in the case of Burn Castell. Oh well.
お前そんなことのためにわざわざここまで来てくれたのか。
You came all the way here to tell us something like that. I guess so.
はい。
Yeah.
ですので私はもう用事を終えました。
Means my business here is finished.
これにて失礼しようと思い
I
ま
think
す。
I will leave now. Alright, well it's fun hanging out with you,
ゲー
Dlanor.
ムも時期に再開するでしょう。
Game will probably resume shortly. Good, good.
エリカと今後のゲームを打ち合わせねばなりませんので。
I must aid Erica during the rest of this game. Dlanor gulped down the last of her black tea and stood up.
次は第2の番の戦いにて、
Next is the battle of the second twilight.
そこにて私は再び無慈悲の太刀を振り上げるでしょう。
At that point, I will once again raise my merciless longsword.
ですからどうかバトラも
So I ask the same of you, battler.
私に慈悲などかけぬように。
Show no mercy towards me.
わかってるぜ。
I understand. Do you now, battler? Do you?
手加減なんかしたらこっちの頭が叩き割られちまうぜ。
If I went easy on you, I'd have my head smashed in. Would he though? Would he really?
ゲーム版での私はベルンカステル教の駒フルドエリカの手先も同然です。
On my game board, I am nothing more than Lady Berncastel's piece and Furuto Erika's subordinate.
これからも敵として何度も立ちはだかるでしょう。
In the future, we'll probably stand across each other as opponents many times. Why is Berncastel your enemy? Aren't they on the same side?
私の心は本来中立です。
My heart is always neutral.
いや、忘れてください。
No, please forget that.
そんなことはあなたと私の関係においては何の意味もない。
Such as no meaning considering the relationship between the two of us.
あるぜ。
It does. It
強
does.
敵であることは間違いないが、あんたをムカつきはしなくなった。
There's no doubt you're a fearsome opponent, but you don't piss me off anymore.
エリカのやつは最高にムカつくが
So
な。
that Erika totally pisses me off. I thought you were separate, Meta Battler.
よかった。
What's wrong with Erika and the fact that she's actually
私
getting
もフ
shit
ルドエ
done?
リカには
Or at
ム
least
カつ
trying
いてい
to.
ます。
Furuto Erika also pisses me off. I mean, I think she's supposed to be annoying. Dlanor's expression softened slightly. At the very last moment, it felt as though we finally understood each other.
フルドエリカはとても邪悪な存在です。
Furuto Erika is a very evil entity.
先ほどの敗北で面目を潰され、復讐心に燃えたぎっています。
She lost face with her recent defeats and is burning with a desire for
何
revenge.
を企んでいるのか、私にもわかりま
Even
せん。
I don't know what she's planning.
ですが、ろくなことのわけがない。
Never, it can't be anything good.
注意してください。
Take care. It's Peace Battler and he doesn't even have control over it.
ベルンカステルの困って時点で気を許す気はないぜ。
Just knowing she's Berncastel's Peace tells me I can't let my guard down. Fair enough. Dlanor nodded as though satisfied, left the overhang of the arbor and walked out into the rain.
あのような邪悪の手先を務めることになろうと
I think
は、
I'd serve as a subordinate to such
どうし
evil.
て私はこの世界に呼ばれたのか。
Why was I called to this world? To serve Battler. Dlanor lets out a small sigh. Pieces can do nothing except fulfill the function they've been given. That function is given to them by the one who controls them. She probably can't disobey her own player, Berncastel.
呼んだのはベルンカステル教かもしれない。
Lady Berncastel may be the one who called you
し
here.
かしこの世界に受け入れたのはベアトです。
However, the one who let you into this world is Beato.
この子が望まなければあなたは迷路庭園を抜け
If
こ
this
こへは
child didn't
至
wish
れな
it,
かったのだから
you would never have been able to make it through the garden maze and arrive here.
ね、ベアト。
Right, Beato?
ミス・ベアトリーチェ、あなたは
Miss Beatrice?
私
What is it
に
you want
何
from
を
me?
求められるのか。邪悪の手先としての私があなたの何かに応えられるならば幸いなのですが。
I hope I can be of help to you in some way, though I may be a subordinate of evil. She spoke to Beato, but of course there was no response. After bowing once more in thanks for the black tea, Dlanor disappeared off into the rainy rose garden. Best mobile game is Stray?
こ
Or
の
best
黄金鏡
indie,
に
sorry,
は
best indie game is Stray
Beato
and
が
not
望まない限り
Vampire?
誰もたどり着けないのか。
That's kind of surprising. That's kind of surprising since I know a couple people played Stray and like it has some cat memes, but other than that, like it didn't seem like that much of a great game. Just like a good meme. And best mobile game is Marble Snap. I've never heard of Marble Snap. I'm kind of surprised it got best mobile game, but let's ignore whoever made those because they suck. I don't claim Marvel Snap is a card game. I've literally never heard of Marvel Snap. And if I go to the App Store on my freaking phone, it's not even number one. Like I haven't. Here, I'm gonna like pull up the App Store on my phone. Best mobile game of the year is Marvel Snap. That is clearly a game. So let's go over to games. What have we got? Top charts? Okay, let's see. Is it in free? Well, that's not quite true. Top grossing? No. It's 18 on grossing? I guess that's a thing. Pull up 18 on grossing? Yeah, it's 18 on grossing. Which puts it like below Genshin? Clash of Clans, Roblox, the classic. I guess it's probably saying new only. In which case, I think Nika is right below it. Hard to guess if some of these are new. I guess if you assume that the other 17 are all last year's stuff, it might be at the top right now. Genshin was a nominee. Oh, Genshin was a nominee. Then honestly, I have no clue how the fuck Genshin or some other free-to-play game didn't win that's more popular. As I've never heard of Marvel Snap. I assume in that case that it was basically just like a, oh, Marvel, therefore good. Kind of like one of those things where it's like the brand name carries it rather than like the popularity of it as an actual game. Because like I mean I'm not the biggest Genshin fan, but I'm not gonna tell you that game's not wildly popular. Played by like a gazillion people, and making like a gajillion dollars. You don't have to be like the game's biggest fan to be like, clearly this game is probably better as a game. It's probably more popular as a game, possibly better, but if it was just this year, I would have said, I guess Snap wins, but I think there's been a decent number of games that came out that are like pretty popular. Alright, so no one can reach this golden land if Beato doesn't want them to. That's good to know. Yeah, I have no clue how Vampire Survivors wasn't best indie game though. That's like a travesty. As Vampire Survivors is super popular, has like multiple knockoffs. It's super popular, has multiple knockoffs, and is one of the handful of games that was good enough for me to be like, what is this game? I'm gonna drop everything and play it and see if it's any good, and it was actually fucking good. Holy shit. Like, it doesn't need to be like this epic sprawling game. That game was amazing. Came out of nowhere. Instant, I don't know, like maybe an 8 out of 10. I don't know if I want to give it a 10, but cause it's not the most replayable game ever. Once you've beaten it like once or twice, it doesn't feel super replayable. You missed Vampire Survivor? I didn't play Vampire Survivor on stream or make a video for it. I played that by myself. I saw like a bunch of people. I think I saw. I forget where I saw it. I saw some reference to it. I had a look and was like, this game looks interesting. And then I messaged, this game looks interesting, and I was like looking it up. And as I was looking it up, I messaged my brother asking him what was up, and he was playing the game too. And I'm like, shit, all right, if he's picking it up and says it's okay, you know, as I'm picking it up to play, I'm like, this is gonna be good, isn't it? Keeping the premium content for himself. But yeah, it was good. I did a couple rounds of it. Like, it was good. It's a good game, man. It's good. I see it crop up everywhere, right? Like there's like the HoloLive there's like the HoloLive ripoff of it. Like there's like 3 or 4 copies of Vampire Survivors with like different skins. People are making knockoffs of it. I'm very surprised it's not winning best mobile, or best, not mobile, what the fuck am I talking about? I guess you might be able to play mobile, who knows? Best indie game. It's probably, like, it came out of nowhere, but it's definitely the best indie game of the year. I don't think there's been any indie game that's been like completely, like any game that's been like out of literally who, like a literal who made that game and it's like super popular. That'd be like saying Flappy Bird wasn't the best, wasn't like the most popular mobile game. when it came out, even though it was only out for like 3 months or whatever. Shit was so popular, the guy who made it fucking took it down because he was getting too much spam and money or whatever. Yeah, I don't think Vampire Survivors is on the App Store. It's on Steam though, and you can also play the demo on their website if you're like really cheap, you can play the demo on their website, which just like cuts down on the number of levels, I believe. It's basically like the entire game. It's the entire game, except they cut down on the number of levels you can play, but you can still play like the first few levels and like a few of the characters. It's like the number of extra characters you can play as, I think, are cut, and they probably don't patch it, so it's probably out of date if they added more content. But yeah, I mean, like, Vampire Survivors is dirt fucking cheap, and it's like a god tier game, so sit down, play it. It's not very hard. Sit down, play it. It's not very hard. You'll beat it you'll beat it probably at like the end of your session, and you'll be like, wow, that was a really good game. It's like easy to chill for that game. Yes, this child is the one who called Dlanor here. Oh, Beato called Dlanor here. You don't pass levels. You actually get items for leveling up. You stay on the same level. You get items for leveling up or for killing specific enemies. But yeah, it's not it's not like the most complicated game. It's pretty easy to play. But I don't think you're ever like, oh wow. I don't think it's like a 600-hour game, but it's gonna be like a game where you play it and you're like, I don't think I can disagree that that's a good game. Yeah. You basically, when you pick a level in Vampire Survivors, you're staying on the level until you beat the game. It's like a little bit of a roguelike thing where like once you like perma-die, once you like die, you get like points. I forget, you get like gold or some shit based on how many points you earned in game, and how much points and XP you earned in game or some shit. I haven't played in a while. And you can use it to buy like upgrades for your next run or unlock new characters. Yeah, it's available on Steam. I think it's on sale right now. Hold up. Yeah, it's on sale, but I mean, even at full price, it's $5. And if you're iffy on whether or not you'll like the game, like I said, you can go to the website of the developer and they have the demo available for free. Or they did. And I mean, the demo is like straight up just like the first 3 levels, so you'll be there for a bit, you'll figure out if you like it, and then and then you can go buy the rest if it's good enough. Yeah, best adaptation. Arcane, yeah, I think Arcane was a hit for more people than Cyberpunk was. I can see that happening. I would have coped for Cyberpunk too, but the issue with Cyberpunk is that it's like super fucking gritty. And Cyberpunk is not a genre for everyone. Like, actual Cyberpunk is not a genre for everyone. Easiest example, Blade Runner. Blade Runner's fucking amazing. The second one, 2049, is also decent. Yeah, they both suck at the box office. Like, Blade Runner fucking bombed at the box office, didn't it? Like, I'm pretty sure Blade Runner fucking sucks at the box office, despite being, like, super famous. It's like, this is a legendary movie. Anyway, it totally bombed at the box office twice. It's like it doesn't make money, but they're really good. Like, it's really good if you're the person who likes it, but like if it's not the genre for you, it's not as popular. Whereas I think League of Legends has much more general popularity. Like before CD Projekt Red declared they were going to make Cyberpunk 2077, I bet you like 90% of the people hadn't heard of that, hadn't heard of the series, right? Like it's a cool series. I believe it's RPG, right? It's a pen and paper, isn't it? Like Cyberpunk is a pen and paper game, as I recall. So like I can say I've heard of it, but I would honestly say most people, even people who play pen and papers, probably may not have heard of it if they aren't into Cyberpunk. So like it's pretty obscure. It's like relatively obscure. I mean, it's not the most obscure shit you've ever heard of, but like it's pretty obscure, and CD Projekt Red brought it into the limelight a little bit, but even then, I think Cyberpunk doesn't have like a ton of mass appeal, because it's not even as it's not. I don't think it's even as popular as like Steampunk was. But Steampunk had like this nice era where it was like mega popular for some reason, and still there's like a lot of like people who just like randomly like it, and there's festivals and shit for it. Like, I know my parents go here and there to random steampunk festivals around Canada. It's like, I didn't even know those were a thing, but apparently they are. If you're like big into it, there's a whole pile of them. So like, it's not even the most popular punk, but then again, hey, maybe I was hoping they would make it like super popular, and they did like an alright job. I mean, their animated series is really good, right? Like, I actually haven't finished it myself. I need to finish it at some point. Maybe that'll be a task for Saturday's Ethereal. It's sad that Blade Runner bombed. It seems like there's a ton of it. I'm pretty sure. Oh, let's see. Let's see. I'm pretty sure it did. Yeah. The original Blade Runner, 1982, the budget is 28 million, and it made 40 at worldwide box, which means it lost money. 2049, I think it was the second one. Let's see. I think the other one did. And it was a box office failure. It had a production budget of between 150 and 185 million, grossing 259.3 million worldwide, which is less than double its production budget. Therefore, also a failure. In case anyone didn't know this, you need to the marketing for most movies, most blockbuster movies, is approximately the entire budget. So you take whatever their production budget is and double it to get what their break even is. That's why it seems like their profits are absolutely insane, and they can use like Hollywood tax magic to make it so that they always make money in some bullshit. So it's always good. It's like this movie cost us 50 million to make. We somehow only make a profit at 300 million. Therefore, because we lie about how much it costs us and don't include it in that number, we can claim a loss when we break even. I assume that's what they're doing. Some bullshit like that. Where like marketing doesn't count as their... Or somehow they write off marketing or some shit. It's weird. Hollywood accounting's really weird. But yeah, basically like cyberpunk movies, even the best ones that everyone's heard of, are not actual successes. Even if you like really like the genre. So like Arcane beating Cyberpunk, especially when it came out to like a little bit less hype, completely believable, especially because Arcane probably released in China to a massive audience, and I don't even know if Cyberpunk is out in China, but I know that League of Legends is colossal in China, and I mean they are like a major market, right? It's like a lot of studios cater to them because they're a very big and growing audience. So like something that's popular there and popular over here is probably going to beat something that's a little less known. Because in theory, most award ceremonies are like a popularity contest. So I kind of see that happening. It's like what is new to the public eye versus something that is extremely well known and popular to the public eye seems like it would have to be like a huge upset. So Beato called her here so I could meet with her. Beato wants you to use Nox or learn more about Nox, maybe? However, I know a person who reached this place despite Beato's wishes. NJ. In the last game, NJ reached the place by herself, even though she was an uninvited guest. Was that also something Beato wished for?
ここに私がいて、あなたがいることも、ベアトがいることも、そしてドラノールが招かれたことも、
Dlanor was invited here.
すべてはこの子が望んだことなのです。
All of these things happened because this child wanted them to.
ドラノールとあなたが過ごした このささやかな紅茶の時間
Even
さ
that
え
tiny bit of time you and Dlanor spent together drinking tea.
ベアと、
ベアと
俺はあいつから
What am I
何を知れと言うんだ。
What am I supposed to learn from her?
それがお前の心臓を探し出し、安らかに眠らせることと関係があ
Does
る。
it have something to do with finding your heart and letting you rest in peace? Or perhaps carrying out your duty regardless of your feelings? Dlanor Enoch's natural enemy of witches, inquisitor of heresy, vanguard of mystery who denies fantasy. Is she here to help? By gouging out your heart? And choking the life out of you? We'll see, I guess. I guess we'll see.
立ってください
Please stand.
片足で
On one leg. Cornelia is not having a good time. Cornelia slowly got up and stood on one leg as she'd been ordered. Her hands were clasped behind her back, because she'd been ordered to do so. Then with a thump, Erica pushed her from behind with both hands. Cornelia landed on the floor, face first with a thud. Erica is not very happy.
立ってください
Please stand.
片足で
On one leg. Cornelia rose shakily. Then once again she stood on one leg as she had been ordered. She had been ordered not to hold her ground, so she'd fallen on her face over and over again. It's mean, but it's funny. She'd barely managed to protect her nose, but after smashing against the floor so many times, her face was bright red. She wasn't shedding any tears, or, well, she couldn't shed them. She was forbidden to even do that.
立ってください
Please
片
stand
足で
on one leg. Thump. Thud. Again and again.
立ってください
Please stand
片足で
on one leg. Poor Cornelia. It's funny, especially her face. And I can understand why you'd be irritated. It still seems a little bit mean, though. Alright. Erica repeated this falling torture over and over again, and at times like this, Erica hated counting things. So she decided once she ran out of fingers to count the number of times, she would repeat it until she lost interest. However, Erica's main redeeming feature was she never lost interest in anything. So the torture continued on and on. Erica didn't know why Cornelia was unable to fully protect the window, so the whole time since then she'd placed all the blame of their loss on her.
近景謹んで申し上げ立てまつる
Oh, please allow me to
コ
speak.
ーネリアの咎を許したまえ
Forgive
す
Cornelia.
でに彼女の咎のみそぎには十分
She
な
has
り
already repented enough.
ああそうですか
Is that true?
ではここからはあなたが変わってください
Please take your place from now on.
ガートルードに咎はなきなりや
Gertrude has done nothing wrong.
ガートルード立って
Gertrude,
ください
please stand
片足で
on one
両手
leg.
は後ろで組むように
Clasp your hands behind you. Gertrude followed the order and clasped her hands behind her back, standing on one leg.
耐えて踏みとどまってはダメですよ
You mustn't resist or hold your
膝
ground.
を折ることも許しません
You are not permitted to bend your knees.
涙をこぼすことも許しません
You're not permitted to shed any
いい
tears.
ですね
Got it?
御意
As you wish.
ガートルード
Gertrude. Erica made a show of walking behind Gertrude. She even enjoyed making her wonder when she'd push. At that time, Gertrude and Cornelia burst with a bright light and disappeared, because Dlanor, who must have returned at some point, had sent them back to the heavens for the time being. And Erica, who'd had her fun spoiled, gave Dlanor an openly malicious look.
ミスエリカ
Miss
我
Erica,
が部下の咎は上司の私が背負います
I will bear the punishment for all of my subordinates' faults as their superior.
どうか部下をお許しください
I ask that you let them go.
ノーサンキューです
Oh, thank you.
お仕置きってのは苦痛を与えるから意味があるんです
Punishment only works because it causes
傷
pain.
一つつかない無痛覚の人形女など面白くもなんともありません
There's nothing interesting about an unfeeling girl doll I can't leave a single injury on. Erica slowly grabbed hold of the back of Delanor's hair, tugging unrelentingly. Delanor's neck tilted upward, creaking.
傷はつきませんが、傷つきはします。
You may not cause a physical injury, but you do injure.
あんたに傷つく心なんてあるわけもない
As
で
if
す
you had a heart that could get injured.
魔女狩り殺人人形の分際で
You lowly witch hunting murder doll.
私に口答えする気ですか？
Are you trying to
大
talk
ベ
back
ル
to
ンカステル教の使者にして分身のこの私に
me? The envoy and double of the late great Lady Burncastown.
いいえ、
あんたらが使えないから私がベルンカステル教にお叱りを受けるんです。
I got scolded by Lady Burncastown because you guys are
二度
useless.
と無様な真似は見せないでください。
Never fail so lamely again.
いいですね。
Understand? The hair she had grabbed was stretched back as far as it would go, along with more creaking. This didn't cause Dlanor any physical pain, but she could clearly feel Erica's ill will.
失礼しました。
My
お許
apologies.
しください。
Forgive me.
クズが
Filth. Filth. Filth! At a sound like a bowstring being cut, several of Delanor's hairs were pulled out. Then Erica waved her hand about as though trying to brush off something dirty that had gotten stuck to it.
まあいいです
Oh, that's okay. How does she command the witch hunters? Because she's on the side of humans hunting witches, and Furuto Erica has claimed the title of detective. Therefore, the destroyer of any and all witches is the detective, right?
これで終わりにしま
Alright,
す
that's okay. I'm done.
ようやく私の怒りも収まり灰色の脳細胞がうずいてきましたから
I mean, the other choice for controlling people who defeat witches would be Battler, and that would be silly, right? Silly. Battler doesn't control any supernatural allies. I'm done. My anger has settled down, and my little gray cells are
あ
tingling
の
again.
使えない二人を呼び戻して現場の再構築をしてください
Please call those two useless people back and reconstruct the crime scene.
推理ゲームを始めましょう
Let's start the reasoning game.
わかりました。
Understood.
ガートルード、コーネリア。
Drink for me, thank you. Understood. Gertrude, Cornelia. Poof, poof.
よい
As you wish. The two of them reappeared behind Dlanor and reconstructed the crime scene for Erica or the one who had just been tormenting them.
金蔵の失踪なんて第一の晩のおまけでしかありません
Kinzo's disappearance was nothing more than a bonus round after the first Twilight.
さあ第一の晩の検証を始めましょう
Let's start investigating the first Twilight itself.
とその前に
But before we do that,
実は私たちは殺人事件の発生以前から一
You
つの
realize
謎を突きつけられているこ
we
と
were
をご
actually
存知です
given a riddle
か
before the murders occurred.
はい。
Yes.
昨夜の24時の何者かのノックによって現れた片翼のわしの刻まれた手紙です。
The letter with the mark of the one-winged eagle, which appeared at 2400 last night, along with a knock by some person.
そうです
That's right. I mean, I think, Kraus and Natsuhi were outside the room at the time, as well as the kids. And I think Genji was also outside the room. I mean, there were options. That is not the most complicated. That wasn't the most complicated thing. Someone does a weird knocking pattern and then runs. Like, knock, knock, run isn't exactly something that nobody can do. Getting the stationary is something Genji, Natsuhi, and Kraus could all do. Like, it's not a super convoluted mystery, I don't think.
一見物語はその瞬間に人間の誰にも不可能であったと語り
The tale creates the illusion that the events of that instant would be impossible for any human,
未知の魔女が存在しているかのよう
making
な
it
幻
seem
想を
like an
作り
unknown
出
witch
しています
exists. Ah, yes, knock, knock, drop letter, and then book it to around a corner. Not exactly hard.
まずはこの魔女幻想を叩き潰すことから始めましょう
Makes it seem like an unknown witch exists. Let's start by crushing this
手
illusion of the
紙が
witch.
届けられた昨晩の食堂の状況から確認していきます
We'll first check the situation at the dining hall last night when the letter was delivered.
了解です。
Understood.
ガートルード、コーネリア。
Gertrude, Cornelia.
昨晩の食堂の親族会議を再構築。
Reconstruct last night's family conference in the dining hall.
よい
By your command. The family conference last night was held with the adult relatives in Battler. Partway through, the servants had arrived to serve tea, specifically Canon and Shannon.
手紙が現れた瞬間の全員の立ち位置を
Let's check
確
everyone's
認しま
location
し
the
ょう
instant
か。
the letter arrived.
どうなってましたっけ？
How'd it go again?
近景
Allow me to
謹
speak.
親族会議以前にエリ
Red
カ
Fruit.
ジョージジェシカマリア南條ゴーダ熊沢は屋敷より退出しゲストハウスへ移動したものなり
For the family conference, Erica, George, Jessica, Maria, Nanjo, Goda, and Kumasawa left the mansion and moved to the guest house. That eliminates them. Okay. So it can't be any of those.
近家謹んで申し上げる。
Please, allow me to speak.
残りはクラウス、夏日、源氏の3人のみが2階廊下におり、
Of those who remain, only Kraus, Natsuhi, and Genji were in the second floor corridor.
それ以外の全員は食堂におりしこと申
All
し上げ
others
た
were
ま
in the
つる。
dining hall. Leaving us at least 3
屋
people.
敷は親族会議に先んじて全て施錠されていたため、
Because the family conference was proceeding and the mansion was
そ
completely
れ以
locked,
外の人間は屋敷に入ることができません。
all other humans were unable to enter the mansion.
おやおや、
Ah,
それでは屋敷内の誰にも食堂の扉をノックして手紙を置くことはできないというこ
that
と
would
にな
mean
り
there
ま
was
す
no one
ね。
inside the mansion who could have knocked and placed the letter there, right?
そうなります。
Yes.
その人物こそが手紙を記した魔女、ベアトリーチェである、との魔女側の主張でしょう。
The witch side will likely claim the one who did this was the witch who wrote the letter, Beatrice.
バカバカしい。くだらな
Ridiculous.
いトリックです。
A
手
stupid
紙が
trick.
24時の瞬間に置かれた保証はありません。
There's no guarantee the letter was placed there at exactly
そ
2400
れ
hours.
以前にもう置かれていたと考えるのが常識的です。
It's only sensible to consider it might have been placed there earlier. I say Shannon or
手
Canon.
紙が発見されるほんの数分前に、シャノンとカノンを給仕に呼んでいます。
A few minutes before the letter was discovered, Shannon and Canon came in to serve tea. Ooh, I hadn't thought about them delivering it. They could have
二
delivered
人
it
を
too.
迎え入れる際、廊下に手紙などの不審物が一切なかったことを
Yeah,
複
when
数
they
が
entered,
確
multiple
認してい
witnesses
ます。
confirmed there was nothing suspicious, like a letter in the hallway.
100万人いなかったクラウス、夏日、源氏のうちの誰か
Maybe
が
one of those not in the parlor, Kraus, Natsuhi, or
その
Genji.
直後に隙を見て手紙を置いただけのこ
They
と
saw
で
their
しょう。
chance after that and placed the letter there.
いえいえ、ゲストハウスに行ったはずの人物でも
It
可
could be
能
possible
で
for the people who supposedly went to the guest house too.
す。屋敷は施錠され、外部の人間は入れなかったそうですが、
Heard the mansion was locked and no one
ゲ
inside
ス
could
ト
get
ハウ
in.
スに戻ったふりをして屋敷内にこっそりと隠れていた人間
But
が
if
いたなら
someone pretended to have gone to the guest house and instead hid inside the
その人
mansion,
物が手紙を置いたとしても何ら問題はあ
it
りませ
would
ん。
have been perfectly possible for them to place the letter there.
近景
Allow me to speak.
青き真実
Blue Truth
有
Valid.
効なり
I believe there was some issue where they were surprised that the building wasn't locked, right?
となると、問題はノックです。
In that case, the problem is the
手
knock.
紙と違い、ノックの瞬間にその場に存在しなくてはなりません。
Unlike the letter, someone would have to exist there at the instant of the knock. But not necessarily touching the door. They could have used, like, I don't know, a pool cue? Or, like, a coat rack or some shit? And then pulled it back and ran away. A little bit unwieldy, because it was an unusual knocking pattern, as I recall.
なるほど。それこそが魔女という名のいないはずの人物が存
I
在す
see.
る証
So
拠だ
this is the
と。
so-called proof, a person who shouldn't be there, a witch existed? It's not very good proof, is it?
実にバカバカしいにも程
It's
があ
so
ります。
ridiculous.
その程度で。このフルドエリカが屈服すると
I
でも
don't think you're intended to surrender to this, Erica. Do you think I, Furuta, Erica, would surrender something like that? It's meant to build up the atmosphere of
ま
mystery.
ずノックが確かに食堂の扉を叩いたものなのか疑います。
First off, we can doubt whether the knock was something hitting the door to the dining hall at
例え
all.
ばですが、屋敷の構造上、2階の特定の柱を叩くと音が柱を伝わり、
There might be a pillar on the second floor, which, because of how the mansion's
食堂の人
constructed,
間
makes a noise
はあたかも扉をノックされたかのように誤認してしまうとか。
that, when struck, gets transmitted down the pillar, and that sounds like a knock on the door to people in the dining hall.
あるいは偶然何かの音をノックと聞き間違え
They could have
同
misheard
様
a
に
random
誤
sound to
認
be
し
a
てし
knock.
まうとか、
They all misconstrued it in the same way.
あるいはノック音を録音したテープがこっそり再生されていて、
Recorded sound of a knock could have been stealthily replayed from a tape. The dining hall does have a tape player in it, and they could have just hid one behind, I don't know, around a corner or some shit.
それがちょうどあのタイミングで聞こえるように細工されていたの
It
か
might
も
have
し
been
れない。
carefully set up to go off at exactly that time, or say accidentally bumped while they were in the dining hall. I think.
いずれにせよ、扉の向こうに誰もいなくても、ノック
Or
を
if
聞か
it's
せ
the
る方
lounge
法
that
な
has
ん
the
て、
tape deck. I don't remember. Either way, I can think of many ways to make them hear a knock, even if no one was on the other side of the door. And that's before you get the knock knock run
い
deal.
くらでも考えられます。
How's that, my master?
いかがです？我が
How
我が
is-
推理。
My reasoning.
だそうだけどいかが？
That's what she says. What do you think?
ベルンの可愛い駒が精一杯頑張って考えた青き真実みたいだから、
It looks like your cute little piece gave it her all thinking up these
気前
blueprints.
よく赤き真実をサービスしちゃおっかし
I'll be nice and give it a few reds. Very
ら。まずは
generous.
手紙から行こうかしら。
I'll start with the letter.
24時の大時計の鐘の時に鳴ったノック、
Okay, so we have both the knock that made when the bell of the large clock rang out
そして
2400.
扉を開けたらそこに置かれていた片翼の鷲の封筒の手紙。
And the letter sitting there in an envelope bearing the one-winged eagle crest when the door was open.
客間にいなかった人間がこっそりと廊下に置いていったのだろうという想像は実に王道よね。
It's obvious to suspect the people who weren't in the parlor secretly placed the letter there.
ク
Right?
ラウス、ナツヒ、ゲンジの3人はその手紙に触れてさえいない。
Grouse, Natsuhi, and Genji did not touch that letter. Okay.
へえ。
Oh.
じゃあ
Then,
シャノン・カノンが給仕に訪れて扉を閉じる瞬間に最後に食堂に入
here's
った
the Shannon
最
Cannon
後尾
question.
の人
When
間
they came to
は
serve tea, who was the last person to enter the dining
誰？
hall?
例えばカノンとか
Let's say it was Cannon.
最後尾のカノンが扉を閉めるときにこっそりポトリと手紙を落とせば簡単じゃない？
Wouldn't it be easy if Cannon, the last person in, secretly dropped the letter there when he closed the door?
食堂の全員の誰も、いえ、もっとシンプルな言い方をするわ。
Not a single person in the dining hall. No, an easy way to say it.
24時の時点で屋敷内にいた誰一人、
Among all those inside the mansion at 2400
あの手紙を
hours,
廊下に置いた者はいないわ。
not a single person placed that letter in the corridor.
触れた者はいないという言い方はできないわけ？
Not a single person placed the letter in the corridor. You can't say no one touched it?
そりゃそうでしょう。
Obviously.
彼らは拾って触れたわ。
They touched it when they picked it up.
触れてないとまでは言えるわけない。
Of course, I couldn't say that none of them touched it. You could have said none of them touched it before the 2400 hour mark.
なるほど。じゃ
I
あ
see.
こういう解釈だわ。
Let's interpret it this way.
24時の時点で屋敷外に存在した何者かがあらかじめ手紙を廊下以外の場所に置いたのよ。
Someone who existed outside of the mansion at 2400 placed a letter somewhere other than the hallway beforehand. Hold up, can I check their phrasing? Among those inside the mansion at 2400, not a single person placed the letter in the corridor. I'd like to point out that they said place the letter in the corridor, which implies intent. Placed implies intent. I place, I place my phone on the desk. I place my fork and knife by my, or I place my fork and knife by my plate. But you don't usually use dropped to say like, you don't usually use dropped to say accident, right? I mean, it could be intentional. But place specifically like implies intent, I think. In my mind, at least, the word saying you placed something implies intent. Whereas dropped could have been accidental. I can drop something into place. I can drop my knife right beside my plate intentionally, or I can, drop my fork and knife on my plate to show that I'm done eating. Or I can, drop something in my bag. But I can also drop something accidentally in the hallway. Say, like, when I'm carrying 10 things, I can accidentally drop one of those 10 things. And that would not have been a placement, right? So, like, would you say you placed... Like, let's say I'm carrying, I don't know, like... I don't know, 10 books, would you say I placed a book in the corridor as I was walking by to imply that while I was walking, the top book fell off my stack of books and fell on the ground? I don't think so. I think you would say dropped. So I'm gonna point out that there's like there's a bit of wiggle room here to say that anyone who entered there could have accidentally left it there. Or not intended to put the letter in the corridor. Like, say, for example, Cannon's carrying it, and he decided not to drop it, and then, oops, spaghetti or Shannon's carrying it, oops, spaghetti happens, she doesn't notice she dropped it. That's a possibility. Don't know if that's the one, but I'm just adding to the possibilities here. Alright, so someone who existed outside the mansion placed the letter somewhere other than the hallway beforehand.
そして何らかの方法でそれが移動して最終的に廊下に置かれた。
It was moved by some means and ended up placed in the hallway.
仮の想像ですが、例えば使用人たちが押してきた。
As an example, let's say it was stuck to the bottom of the serving cart the servants were pushing.
お茶の道具を積んだ配膳車の下部の裏側に貼り付けられていたとか。
It was glued there in a way that would make it come unstuck after a certain
そ
amount
れ
of
は
time.
時間が経てば剥がれてしまうような簡単な接着。
When it eventually fell off, it became the letter left behind by a witch who shouldn't have existed. Yeah, let's not use glue. Glue seems too permanent. Let's say it was just like gently resting on like a shelf that's not immediately visible and kind of just slid off when they stopped the cart. But that's the thing, right? If you've ever had like pushed like a rolling cart and you have like something on top of it on a smooth surface, when you stop, there's a lot of momentum and you can like have things fall off if they aren't carefully placed. So I'm gonna go with that. A bit of a tweak to their dialogue, but I think it carries the same meaning. They use like glue that came undone. I mean, yeah, it can, but it's really hard to estimate that. That said, everyone's like perfect in this series, so everyone's in perfect health. And a god tier Olympian here, so who knows? Like they're all Olympic athletes. At least Battler is. Jumping 3 stories straight down and landing on his legs is very difficult, but he seemed to find it very easy. Also, diving out a window, probably pretty hard to do without even thinking about it, but here we are.
それはやがて剥がれ落ちて存在し
In
ない
other
は
words,
ずの
the
魔女
classic
がつまり時間差で手紙が現れるようにすることで真の差出人が
One where the
その
true
時刻
sender
にアリバイを作ろう
gives
とする
themselves an
古典
alibi
的トリックです。
by making the letter appear at a different time.
金系
Allow me to speak.
青き真実
Blue Truth
有効
Ballad.
なり
ちょうど都合よく食堂の扉の前に落ちたのは犯人にとって幸運だっただけということ。
In other words, the fact that it landed outside the dining hall door was just the culprit's good luck. I mean, it could have been non-good luck. If she says it wasn't good luck and it was set up to go there, that's not really surprising me, but it was intended to be that outside the dining hall doesn't surprise me.
下手をすればそこは厨房か廊下かはたまた食堂の中だったかもしれません。
At worst, it might have happened in the kitchen, the corridor, even inside the dining hall.
グッド
Good.
食堂の中ならば随分と素敵ですね。
If it happened inside the dining hall, that would have been even more wonderful.
全員の監視の中突然床に手紙が現
Within
れる。
everyone's sight, a letter suddenly appears on the floor.
食堂という密室に忽然とその場の誰も触れていないという赤を維持したまま。
It wouldn't even violate a red truth saying no one in the closed room of the dining hall touched the letter unexpectedly.
お見事です。
Well
配
done.
膳車の下部に手紙を貼り付ける行為なら誰が犯人でも可能です。
If the letter was stuck to the bottom of the serving cart, then anyone could be the culprit.
手紙についてはまずね。
It works okay regarding the letter.
でもそれと同じ論法がノックについても通用するかし
The
ら。
same type of argument apply to the knock as well. A recording of a knock.
じゃあもう一度
Let's try this
同
again,
じ
shall
や
we?
りとりをし
A
ようかし
recording
ら。
of a knock, if you want to say they were never there, could work.
ええどうぞ。
Please go ahead.
クラウス、夏日、源氏の3人はノックをしていない。
Neither Kraus, Natsuhi, nor Genji knocked. Okay.
これは扉だけはノックしていないという
限定的な意味じゃないわよ。
This isn't the limited meaning of them knocking on the door.
音が伝わる柱だろうと、録音したカセットテープの再生ボタンだろうと、その
Means
ノ
they
ック
didn't
音
use a
を生
pillar
み出したことは
to
断
transmit
じ
the
て
sound
ないという
or
意
push
味。
the play button on a cassette tape. Then recorded or create that knock by sound by any means.
無論直接的にも間接的にも意図的にも偶発的にも無意識的にもね。
Of course, this applies to direct, indirect, intentional, coincidental, and unintentional means. Okay, so it wasn't any of them.
すでにくさびを打ってるけど繰り返すわ。
The switch has already been knocked in, but I'll repeat it.
クラウス、夏日、源氏たち3人以外の誰かがノック、
Maybe someone other than Kraus, Natsuhi, or Genshi made that
あ
knock.
るいはノックと誤認させる音を発生させたのかもしれない。
Or a sound that could be misidentified as a knock.
近家謹んで申し上げ立てまつる。
Allow me to speak.
24時の時点で2階廊下にいたクラウス、夏日、源氏の3人と
Okay. Let it be known that at 2400 hours, accepting Kraus, Natsuhi, Genji in the second floor corridor, and all of the people in the
食
dining
堂にい
hall,
た全員以外の一切の人間は
no
屋敷
humans
内に存在しなか
existed
ったの
inside the
に
mansion.
申し上げ立てまつる。
It's only these people. And those three didn't have any involvement. So someone inside the dining room pressed a play button on a recording function, on a pre-recorded sound of a knocking. That's probably what I'd lean towards. I'm still sticking with my plan.
近景謹んで申し上げる。
Please
ク
allow me
ラ
to
ウス
speak.
夏日源氏の3人に加え食堂の全員もまた
Let
ノッ
it be
クしてい
known
ない
that
こ
in
と
addition
申し上げる。
to Kraus, Nazi, and Genji, none of those in the dining hall knocked on that door. Okay, so simple surround sound system in the dining hall. One of the people in the dining hall presses a switch, flips a switch that presses play, causing people to think there was a knock on the dining hall door because they recorded that. All right, with a few directional mics. Easy.
このノックとはノック音を生み出す直接的、間接的、意図的、無意識
Never
的、
mind.
偶
None
発
of
的
those
な
in the
全
dining
て
hall
を含
knocked
め
on
るも
that
の
door
で
in this sense. Knock includes all direct, indirect, intentional, unintentional, and coincidental events that could create a knocking sound. So, in addition to Kraus, Natsuhi, and Genji, not a single person in the dining hall could do anything. And no one else was in the room. Alright. Or no one else was in the area. No one else was in the building. And every single person who could have potentially... who was in the building could not have made any of that sound. That's interesting. Okay, if not a single person in the building makes a knocking sound, either intentionally or unintentionally, how can a knocking sound be played? Okay, incredibly improbable. Let's try... it's a typhoon, a rock. A rock hitting a wall that sounds like that due to some obscure acoustics. The house settling. I mean, I'm coping pretty hard, but I'm coming up with a couple ideas. Let's see what she's got. A direct knock refers to someone... Oh, wait. Yeah. A direct knock refers to someone literally hitting a door to make a knocking sound. An intentional knock refers to someone creating a fake knocking sound to try and make it appear that someone knocked. An unintentional knock refers to someone unintentionally creating a fake knocking sound. A coincidental knock refers to some kind of coincidence that creates a fake knocking sound.
つまり屋敷にいた人物全員がノック音の発生源とはなり得ない。
It's impossible for any character within the mansion to be the source of a knocking
そして
sound.
この全員とは誰も把握していない観測されていない人物であったとし
And
ても
any
含
character
みます
refers even to unobserved people that no one has noticed. Okay. Anyone who's in the mansion would include unknown persons who knock into the mansion. Okay. Therefore, it literally means it's impossible for anyone in the mansion to knock, with no wordplay allowed.
なるほど。
I see. Well, if it's impossible for anyone to knock, then there has to be some natural occurring. They threw rocks at the window. Fuck it. Rocks at the window. Throw rocks at the window. Sounds like a knock.
どうひっくり返そうとも、いわゆるゲストハウス組にしかノック音の生成は不可能。
Oh, no matter how much I
という
toy
わ
with
け
it,
です
it's
ね。
impossible for anyone except those in the guest house to create a Right, the knocking sound,
例
right?
えば
Like me,
私
for example.
このフルドエリカがカセットテープにノックオンを
But
録
if I,
音
Frodo
し
Erica, record a knocking sound on a cassette
そ
tape,
れをどこかにこっそり仕掛けちょうど24時頃に再生されるような仕掛け
and
を
use
施したな
some
ら
kind of secret contraption to start it playing at exactly 2400?
もちろん24時の時点では屋敷にはいない
Of
わ
course,
け
I
です
wasn't in the mansion.
これなら何
There
も
aren't
問題
problems
な
with
いじ
this,
ゃ
are
ない
there?
ですか
I don't know about playing a knocking sound.
問題ないです
No problem.
しかし扉の前に手紙があればこそノックがその存在を教えるきっかけとなりま
However,
す
the
が
knock did serve as a way of informing them about the letter on the other side
も
of
し
the door.
厨房などに手紙が落下していたらノックは手紙の存在を教えるものにはならなかったように
I
思
do
い
not think it
ま
would
す
have worked if the letter fell elsewhere. If the trick in Erica's theory about the letter being stuck to the serving cart was accurate, then the location the letter fell was a matter of luck. However, she's saying, because it fortunately fell near the door, people in the hall noticed it due to the knock. However, if the location it fell was a matter of chance, it might have landed in a far-off kitchen or remained stuck even after they entered. If that happened, the knock would have been ignored as though they just imagined it. In other words, the knock by itself wouldn't transmit a message. It only made it appear as though someone had been there because it was paired with the letter. In that case, the random location the letter fell to off the bottom of the serving cart couldn't be connected with the knock. For the letter to be found thanks to the knock, it would have to be reliably positioned on the other side of the door. The door is probably at a T-junction. The door is at a T-junction. I think you could make it deterministic by placing it in a specific location on the cart, such that it only slides if you're turning right, if the thing's turning. For example, you're traveling down a T-junction, and you need to take a right turn. The cart is going to slow down and turn to the right, meaning the thing will fly off to the left. If it is positioned against something such that it would not fall if it turned left, like let's say you do an S, let's say you do like a bit of an S shape as your path into the place. Maybe not quite an S shape, but like a really simplified S, so like a straight line, turn left, then turn right. So like 2 90-degree turns. If you do something like that as your path to the dining hall from the kitchen, it would be a deterministic route that you could, with a single right turn in it, where you could concretely say like, okay, I put a support on the right side of it so it can only ever fly left, a support in front and back so it doesn't slide out at the wrong time. You put it in there, the second they turn left, it slides out, and boom, problem solved. That's a solution. The other solution is they drop the letter off, book it, then do something to cause the knock outside while they're outside of the mansion. I think those are like the two options, right? However, it was announced in red no one in the mansion placed the letter in the hallway.
この廊下に置いたという赤も
I'll
もっと
reword
細か
that
く言
red.
い直す
How
わ
about placing it in the corridor a bit?
屋敷内の誰一人
No
手
one in the
紙を
mansion
廊下に置いた者はいない
placed the letter in the
そ
hallway.
れは直接的間接的意図的偶発的無意識的すべての概念だよ
This includes doing so by all concepts such as directly, indirectly, intentionally, coincidentally, and unintentionally. Alright then. In that case, accidentally fumbling it is gone, as is this method. Unintentionally. That includes unintentionally placing it. Okay. Even if you don't intend to place it and you aren't aware it exists, it's still unintentional. Okay. So I'm thinking someone put it there, ran out, and then played the sound. Or made the sound via some way.
配膳車に停車すると手紙が落ちるという仕掛けがあ
Yeah,
ったと
I
仮定する
understand Lambda, but we'll go through the motion anyway. For example, let's assume there was a device on the serving cart that drops the letter when it stops
これ
moving.
ならば食堂の扉でノックするために一度停車するだろうことが事前に予見できるから
In this case, you would think they could predict the cart would probably stop just once when those two knocked on the door to the dining
う
hall.
まいこと扉の前に手紙を落とせるように思えるかもしれない
By doing so, they'd be cleverly making it so the letter drops right in front of the
し
door.
かしこれもダメなのよ
But it doesn't even work,
配
okay?
膳車を停車させることが廊下に手紙を置くという行為を間接的に
The
示
action of
して
stopping the serving cart would indirectly lead to placing the letter in the hallway. Yep. You got us covered.
よってこれでは台車を押していたシャノンとカノンが間接的に 無意識に置いたことになってしまう。
That would mean Shannon and Kanon, who were pushing the cart, had indirectly and unintentionally placed the letter
だから
there.
これもダメ。
Even this is no good.
さらに言うと、
Furthermore,
時間が経てば剥がれて落ちる仕掛けも、
setting it up so the letter peeled off with the passage of
そ
time.
こまで配膳者を押した人間によって偶発的に無意識に置いたことになってしまう。
Yep. The glue strat would mean that the people pushing the serving cart coincidentally and unintentionally placed the
も
letter
ちろ
there.
んこれもダメ。
It's also no good.
副賞要求
Repeat.
24時の時点で屋敷以外に存在するのはエリカ、ジョージ、ジェシカ、マリア、南條、ゴーダ、熊沢のみである。
At 2400, only Erica, George, Jessica, Maria, Nanjo, Goda, and Kumasawa existed outside the mansion. What if someone in the dining hall didn't exist in the mansion, right? At 2400? For example, what if they slipped out just a window just before? With this wordplay, it might be possible to get around the red truth.
副賞要求？
Repeat it?
気前よく赤をサービスしてるからってちょっと欲張りすぎじゃない？
Even though I'm nice enough to give you all this red for free, are you being a bit greedy?
私ベアトみたいにバカじゃない
Not
か
an
ら
idiot like Beato.
相手の求める副賞にペラペラ答えたりなんかし
I
ない
won't
わ
say
よ。
I won't go around saying everything my opponent tells me to repeat.
今度お風呂で
I like
マシュマロとコンペイトーの
I
スクラブ
think
で
my
全身
favorite
マッサー
Lambda
ジして
Delta
あげる
face is actually her like proud face here, where she's like, "Ha, I'm better than you." I'll give you a full body massage in a bath with marshmallows and conpeto sometime soon. She's bribing Lambda Delta with a full body massage in a bath with marshmallows. And I don't know what conpeto is. Hold up. Ah, Japanese sugar candies. Alright, alright. So, anyway, giving full body massages as bribes. That's not gay at all. Yep.
生皮剥げるくらいに
Enough to rub your skin off. Interesting.
絶対よ約束だからねジュルリ
Yeah, you've got to keep that promise.
じゃあいいわサービスしちゃう
Okay, now here's a
副
freebie.
賞要求に答える
I'll
わ
respond.
24時の時点で屋敷以外に存在するのはエリカ、ジョージ、ジェシカ、マリア、南條、ゴーダ、熊沢のみである
At 2400, only Erica, George, Jessica, Maria, Nanjo, Goda, and Kumasawa existed outside the mansion. So there's our freebie. Alright. In other words, no matter how much they struggled, those 8 people, including Erica, could not have existed inside the mansion, much less in front of the door. At the same time, no matter how much they struggled, those inside the mansion couldn't have existed outside the mansion.
なら配膳者ではなく廊下の天井に手紙を貼り付けてあったのかもしれません。
The letter might have been stuck to the ceiling of the hallway instead of the serving car.
廊下の天井は案外高いから堂々と貼り付けてあっても誰も気づかないかもしれない。
Ceiling of the hallway is surprisingly high. Even if you just stuck it out there in the open, maybe no one would notice
こ
it.
れなら廊下に落ちるのは確定的。
This way it would certainly fall in the
そして
corridor.
それを屋敷外の人物が行ったなら赤も潜れ
And
る。
you can slip by the right if someone outside the mansion did it.
私
Good job, me.
金慶
Let me see.
廊下天井に手紙が存在したことはなき
The
な
letter never existed on the ceiling of the hallway. Oof.
金家謹んで申し上げる
Allow me to
配
speak.
膳者に手紙が触れたことはなきと知りたまえ
Know that the letter never touched the serving car.
知らないですそんなこと。
Who cares about that?
とにかく屋敷以外の人間が何かのトリックであそこに手紙を置いてみ
Some
せたん
human
です。
outside the mansion used a trick to place the
あ
letter
の手
there.
紙とノックでベアトリーチェを存在させようなどという目論みはこのフルドエリカには
If you
断じ
use
て通用しません
if。you try to use that letter in the knock to argue Beatrice exists, it won't work on Furuto Erica.
金慶謹んで申し上げる屋敷以外の全員は親族会議開始後屋敷内にて何を行うことも不可能なり
It was impossible for anyone outside the mansion to influence anything inside the mansion after the family conference began. Oh, that's interesting.
じゃあ親族会議以前に屋敷以外の何者かが何らかの仕掛けを施したのよ。
Someone outside the mansion set up some kind of device before the family
天井
conference.
と配膳者以外でです。
Something other than the ceiling of the serving car.
金系青き真実無
Allow
効
me to
なり
speak. Blue truth invalid?
なんでですか。
What?
それしかないでしょ。
The only way, right?
天井と配膳者以外の何かに屋敷以外の誰かが何か仕掛けをしたのよ。
Someone outside the mansion used some kind of device other than the ceiling or the serving card?
金系
Allow me to speak.
その何かを特定もしくは仮定せぬ限り青き真実とは
Unless
認
you
めら
can
れぬものなり
specify what that something might be, your blue truth will not be acknowledged. Is there like a chandelier? A light fixture? Chandelier, light fixture, wall, door frame. Door frame might work, actually. The door frame, like if you place, you could probably, I'm just thinking, like, okay, let's think of, if you place it on the door frame, when the door is closed again for this, when the door is closed, it might bump it loose. So I think door frame might work. Light glue to light fixture or some other bullshit might also work. But I feel like that one would be prone to failure, so we can try something like that. They could have also... oh no, they said they didn't influence it when the conference began. Never mind. Never mind. I was gonna say something else, but...
金系
Allow me to speak.
手紙についてのエリカ教の青き真実は全て失われ
All
た
of
もの
Lady
よ。
Erica's blue truths regarding the letter have been lost.
全て失われた
All lost,
で
you
す
say?
言い方にもう少し気を使ってください。使えない家具の皆さん、
Watch your tongues, a little bit more useless
そ
furniture.
の仕掛けを思いつきさえすれば即座にチェックメ
I
イト
can
な
just
んで
think of
す
the。device. It's an instant checkmate.
それを
What do you mean all of them?
全て
What do you mean all of my blue
失われた
truths is invalid?
青き真実、この
How dare you
探偵
say such a thing to me?
フルドエリカに
Such a tactic.
よくもそんな口を。
Naruto Erica. Erica's face twisted. The words seemed to deny Erica. No, Erica's reasoning, and they were the worst form of torture and humiliation to her.
ミスエリカ
Miss
手
Erica,
紙の謎は一度保留してはいかがです。
why don't we postpone the riddle of the letter for
ノッ
now?
クの推理屋敷以外の何者かがカセットテープなどで聞かせたとする青きくさびは未だに有効です。
About your blue stake about someone outside the mansion playing it with a cassette tape is still valid.
音が可能なら手紙もまた不可能ではないはず。
If it was possible for sound, perhaps it wasn't impossible for a letter as well. As Erica made to grab and pull Gertrude's hair, Dlanor stopped her with those words.
そうです。ノックについては私
I
の
think that
青
one's
き
about to
真
get knocked
実
down too.
未だ有効なはずです。
My blue truth regarding the knock still
す
valid.
べてを否定されてなんていませ
It's
ん。
not, it's not that everything's been denied.
我が主、手紙の謎は必ずや解いてみせます。
I'll solve the riddle of the letter.
お時間の猶予をお許しくだ
Allow me
さ
to
い。
postpone for now.
しかし、ノックの謎については確かにここに
I'll definitely figure out the riddle of the
屋
knock.
敷以外の人物がカセットテープなどでノック音を聞かせる仕掛けを施した
I
と
hit
す
you with
る
the blue stake.
青きくさびでうがちました。
That someone outside the mansion set things up with a cassette tape or something to make a knock sound play. At a specified time. And oh no, Lambda's laughing. That's gonna get rejected.
本当に可愛い子ね、ベルンのコマが。
Really are a cute kid, piece of
本
ferns.
当にけなげだわ。
Lots
と
of
りあえ
fun.
ず2つの謎のうち1つは高3だけど1つは解けたからお許しをって叫んでる。
Anyway, Erica's yelling you forgive her because she solved one of the two riddles, even though she resigned
ど
on
う
the
する？
other.
許してあげる？
Will you forgive her?
そうね。
ね
私の駒の分際で降参なんて恥さらし、絶対に許せないところだけれど。
I'd never forgive my own peace for the shame of
一つ
surrendering.
は解いてみせたのなら、今回は多めに見てあげようかしら。
But if you've managed to solve one of the riddles, I'll let it slide for now.
我が主。
When Berncastel said that, she'd let it slide. Erica couldn't hide her relief.
じゃあお仕置きだわ、エリカちゃん。
It's time to get punished, Erica-chan. Uh-oh.
すべての人物はノック音を誤認することはない。
None of the characters misidentified a knocking sound.
へえ、
Oh.
何それ。
What's that supposed to mean?
ノッ ク音を誤認しないということはつまり
Identifying a knocking sound means
ノッ
this.
ク音によく似た他の音をノック音と勘違いしたりはしないということよ。
They would not mistake a sound very similar to a knocking sound for a real knocking
柱
sound.
を叩くとノックに似た音がするなんてのもアウト。
Hitting a pillar to make something similar to a knocking sound is no
ノッ
good.
ク音をカセットテープに録音したとしてもそれはもはやノック音を録音したテープの音であって
When you record a
ノック
knocking
音
sound
で
on
は
a
な
cassette
い。
tape and play it, it becomes the sound of the tape with a knocking sound on it, not a knocking sound. That also means you can't throw rocks, I believe.
だからこれもアウト。
No good either.
つまり実際にあの扉を叩いたノック音を全員は正確に識別し
In other words, every one of them would correctly recognize a knocking sound of something truly
絶
hitting
対
the
に
door.
聞き間違いないという
They
こと
wouldn't
よ。
mishear it.
あの扉を直接叩く以外のあらゆる音をノックと誤解することは
It's
絶対にあ
impossible
りえないということ。
that any sound except hitting the door directly would be interpreted as a knock. Ooh.
そんな
Ooh. Well, that's awkward. That's awkward, Erica.
でもそれじゃあの24時の鐘の音の時
But that means at the
扉
time
を
of the
叩
bell
ける人
sounding,
物が
2400 went
存
off.
在しないことになるじゃありませんか。
No one existed who could have hit the door.
そうよ存在しないわよ。
Yep, they don't
だって
exist.
黄金の魔女ベアトリーチェが叩いたんだもの。
After all, the Golden Witch Beatrice hit it.
つまりあの扉を叩く以外ごまかしようはないってことね。
In other words, there's no way to make it work unless you actually hit the door. So they already said at exactly 2400, no one was. They already did the no one could influence it, and that these people were strictly outside the mansion at 2400. Could someone have run in and knocked it at 2401? At 2405?
ならこういうのはどう？
What about this?
扉をノックしてくれる何かの仕掛けとか
A device that could knock on the door?
自動のドアノッカーみたいな仕掛けがあってそれによって手を触れずにノックすることができたとか。
There was something like an automatic door knocker that made it possible to knock without touching the door with your hands?
ノックは人が手で扉を叩くものよ。
To knock means to hitting a door with their hand.
仕掛
Alright.
けで叩いたなんて認めないわ。
I won't accept hitting it with a device. They heard a knock at the same time as the 2400
その
bell.
時食堂の人物全員が
At the
確かに
time,
それを聞いたわ。
everyone inside the hall heard it.
そして彼らは誰もノック音を誤認しない。
None of them misinterpreted
ク
a
ラウス
knocking sound.
ナツヒゲンジの
Whereas
3人は
Natsuhi and Genji
それ
weren't
以外の
involved.
人物は
No one
誰
else
そ
was
して
in the
ノッ
mansion.
クは
Knock is
直接
standing directly in
扉
front of the
の
door
前
and
に
hitting
立
with
ち
the hand.
手で扉ねえベル
Was one of them standing close? Was one of the people inside the room standing close enough to knock on the door? Okay. It's the most elaborate knock-knock joke ever. It could be. Hey,
どう
Burn.
私の赤は
What do you think of my red? I think someone inside the room could have knocked on the door, making them think it was a knock from the outside. You know, you subtly stand near the door at the... It's a double door, right? You stand near the door that doesn't open, and you just rap it lightly with your knuckles, giving the impression that it's knocked, and then you act surprised. How about that one?
まだ第一の晩以前なのになかなかシンプルで遊びがい
Sure,
な
you
い
think
で
it's
しょ
real simple and enjoyable, despite being before the first Twilight?
黄金の魔女はノックの音とともに静かに降臨
Golden Witch made her graceful appearance with a knocking sound.
面白いわ。本
Interesting.
当に面白いわラ
This
ム
really
ダ。
is riveting, Lambda.
こうでなくっちゃ。
I wouldn't have it any other way.
ああ面白い。
Yes, home easy. The two witches doubled over laughing as though this is the most fun thing in the world. I'm saying someone in the room was subtly knocking and pretended that it wasn't them.
若主ご安心
Don't
よ
worry.
その程度の赤我が灰色の脳細胞は時間さえ与えられれば
Doesn't solve the letter.
答えを
One
導
thing-
き出してみせます
It doesn't solve the letter. One thing at a time. One thing at a time. I'll definitely reach an answer to this pitiful red.
あんたなんて所詮は駒。
You're nothing but
い
a
て
lowly
もい
piece.
なくても、私がゲームを進めるには支障がないのだか
Your
ら。
absence won't hinder my progress in the game in the
特
slightest.
に推理が思いつかないなら、おとなしく駒置き場にでも戻って、
If
誇
you
り
can't
を
think of
か
any
ぶってて
theories
ちょうだい。
in particular, please just go back to the peace tray and gather dust or
使え
something.
ない駒は記憶に留めるのも苦痛だわ。
Useless pieces are painful to even remember.
ベルンは忘れっぽいからね。
After all, Burn's pretty
あん
forgetful.
た、もうちょっと頑張らないとベルンに忘れられちゃうわよ。
If you don't try a little harder, Burn's gonna forget you,
忘
okay?
却の駒置き場で永遠に埃にまみれながら決してこぬ出
To
番
collect
を
dust
待つのって
in that forgotten peace tray awaiting your turn that'll never
と
come.
ても辛いと思うけれど。
I imagine that'd be harsh, don't you think?
ご安心を大ラムダデルタ教、そ
But
して
don't
我
worry,
が
Legend
主、
of my master.
必ずやお気に入りいただくことができる
I
よう
promise
二
I'll
度と
keep you
失望
entertained.
させぬ活躍を約
I'll
束い
never
た
let
し
you
ま
down
す。
again.
あら、さすがは私の分身ね。頼もしい
How reassuring. I guess you're my double
わ。
after
なら
all.
本当に頑張ってね。いろいろと。
Then make sure you're really giving it your all in more ways
あ
than
まり
one.
活躍がないと私、あなたのこと忘れちゃうかもしれないんだから。
If you don't make an impact, I might forget all about you. As the two witches giggled, they continued discussing the letter and the knock. There was no room for Erica to step in, and if she contented herself with that, she'd literally have no place to go. She'd be buried in an eternal oblivion. Erica endured this with a hideous expression, looking with shame at the back of her master who ignored her. With both fists clenched, she frantically thought in search of some kind of breakthrough. I'm the detective. I'm Furuto, Erica. I'm the peace and double-in servant of the great Lady Berncastel. I'll definitely make her satisfied. Satisfied. Definitely, definitely, definitely. Ah! Ushirami, a battler, how dare you? You humiliate me so. As she stood there, ignored by the witches and shrouded in darkness, it looked like someone had told her to go stand all alone in the hallway. Life is rough for Erica, Furuto. With the crime in the early morning, we'd completely forgotten about breakfast, so now we had our first meal of the day at a time that could never be called breakfast time. Even Goda-san's wonderful meal, which had supposedly been in the works since yesterday, provided no comfort. The several empty seats quietly burdened us with a pain-filled sadness. Time is it? Then in the middle of this meal that felt like a vigil, Erica suddenly stood up. Everyone focused on her to see what was the matter. Her expression was somewhere between relief and insanity, as though she'd made some groundbreaking, strange discovery.
おい、どうした？
What's up?
大丈夫か？
Are you okay?
わかりました。わかりました。
I got it.
私にわからないとお思いですか？
Did you think I wouldn't have?
わかりましたもん。そんなバカなことあるわけがない。
There's no way something that stupid could happen. With a hideous expression covered in sweat, Erica glared and lashed at a battler. This is a weird way to act if you're a real person. Alright,
分かったって
What?
何がだ？
what do you get?
あなたが3階の書斎から飛び降りられるわけなんか
There's
な
no-
いじゃないですか。
Oh my god, she's still on this third floor story jumping. There's no way you jump down from the third floor
私
study.
たちは誰一人あんたが飛び降り中庭に着地したところなんて見てない
That's not
ん
a
ですから。
defense. Not one of us saw you fall down and land in the courtyard. That's not a defense, Erica. That's not a defense. Because you didn't see it, that is not a defense. Holy shit.
あなたは中庭からはしごをかけて3階の窓にルドルフさんが登るのを見ていたとき、
When you set up the ladder from the courtyard and saw Rudolph-san go up it to the third
そ
story
の外
window.
壁の構造をよく観察し、雨どいなどをうまく伝えば3階の窓から中庭に降りることは不可能じゃないと気づいたん
Closely
です。
observed the construction of the outer wall and realized by cleverly using a rain gutter it might be possible to go down to the courtyard from the
あ
third
な
floor
たは
window.
飛び降りてなんかいな
You
い。
didn't jump?
雨どいなどを伝え、みっともなく外壁を這い降
Used
り
a
たん
rain
です。
gutter and clumsily wiggled down the outer
ど
wall.
うです？私の青き真実は。
Do you think
さあ、
of my
反
blue
論
truth?
は？
What's your counter argument?
反論って
Counter argument?
反論はない。
Erica's still fighting alone. You don't have a
ならば
counter argument? My
私
truth's
の
valid,
真
right?
実は有効ですね。ほら見たことか。
You see that? Right? My truth's valid.
かっこつけて飛び降りたように見えたのは全て幻想。
Trying to look cool and making it look like you jumped down was an
あん
illusion.
たはかっこつけて飛び出し、雨どいにしがみついただ
There
けなん
was
です。
no rain gutter that grabbable. She could have maybe grabbed onto the ledge. Assassin's Creed style, but I mean, even that's a bit iffy. It's in the rain.
あの時の論点は、じい様が書斎を脱出可能だったかどうか。
My argument then was about whether it was possible for grandfather to escape the study. You're not actually helping her, your own argument, Erica, because he's still trying to
そし
escape.
て、じい様は窓から抜け出すことも可
And it
能
was
だった。
possible for grandfather to escape through the
俺
window.
はそれを証明した
All
だ
I
け
did
だ
was
ぞ。
prove
飛び
that.
降りようが這い降りようが、それは変わらねえはずだか
Whether I
ら。
jumped or crawled down, it doesn't change anything, does it?
はぐらかさないでください。
Erica, shut the fuck up.
人間風情が3階から飛び降りられるはずがないんです。
I mean, a human can't jump down from the third floor.
それ見たことか。それ見たことか。
Can you see it? Can you see it? Why didn't you... Oh yeah, that's an invalid truth. Oh, whatever.
いかがです？我が主。
Think of my
我が
reasoning,
推
master.
理。
Master,
お前疲れてんの
are you
か
tired or something?
飯くらい
Calm
落ち着
down,
いて
need
食え
some
よ。
food. When he escaped to the courtyard through the window, Battler really did use the rain gutter to crawl down the wall like Erica said. His hand slipped halfway and he fell from a considerable height, but he managed to land on his feet. No one witnessed this, but most likely everyone in the dining hall now except Erica had realized that something like that had happened. Since the very beginning, no one believed he'd jumped down from the third floor window, even if they hadn't witnessed that directly. They had no clue what Erica was complaining about all of a sudden. It started to whisper, staring at her with cold eyes and dubious faces.
反論できないでしょ。
Counter that, can you? Why is she back in the real
あな
world?
たの飛び降りは否定された。
Her jumping down's been denied. Oh, it's not an argument for Kinzo not escaping, Erica. Okay.
私の真実が勝ったんです。私の青き真実は有効です。
My blue truth is valid.
我が主、それをどうかお認めください。
Sir, please acknowledge this.
私は無能ではありません。失望も
Not
させません。
incompetent or a disappointment.
必ずやこのようにご期待に応えてみせますから、どう
Match
か
up
お
to
見
your
捨てにならないでください。
Please don't abandon me, Master. A new Space Marine 2? I believe we were expecting that announcement this year, actually. I believe we were expecting that this year, since it was already rumored. Good news, though. If it has a date, I'm really excited. Facing someone that might have been somewhere beyond the ceiling, Erica spread her arms and yelled. Then as by answer, a massive lightning bolt landed close by. It was an incredible sound. They could feel the earth shake. 2023, alright. Well, I mean, that's not far. That's 2033. Not far. Could be far. At the same time as that sound, Erica went limp and fell into her seat, like a puppet who just had all its strings cut. Then as the sound of wind and rain slowly filled the room once again, Erica opened her eyes as though recovering from a bout of dizziness. Then she continued eating in silence as though nothing had happened. As if she had been acting normally this whole time. Didn't Erica just stand up suddenly and yell something strange at someone? Automatically enough to make one doubt their eyes, Erica continued eating quietly as though everything was perfectly normal. When they saw how ordinary she looked, everyone convinced themselves they were totally worn out. They must have seen some illusion of Erica suddenly yelling. So Erica's sudden transfiguration of a few seconds ago was treated like a daydream. Burn really hit the factory reset button. I'm pretty sure she deleted her entire... I'm pretty sure she wiped her hard drive and installed the base operating system. Like, you got fucking wrecked. Factory reset? Yeah, pretty much. Nothing happened. She got erased. Erica's gone. Boop. There's no personality. There's no personality left. Not a trace. They took whatever operating system she was running, uninstalled it, and installed Ubuntu. And they're just like, yep, it's an operating system, guys. Bye. Restarting. We're not restarting to Erica's default. We're clearing out Erica and just leaving living being there. So Erica's sudden transfiguration of a few seconds ago was treated as a daydream and faded out of everyone's memories. Erica quietly poked at her salad and muttered in a voice no one could hear.
ありがとうございます。大ベルンカステル卿。
Thank you very much, Lady
我
Berncasta.
こそは古田エリカ。
I'm Fruto
我
Erica.
が主の駒にして分子。
I'm a master's piece in her
必
double.
ずやあなたのために最高の物語を
I'll
献
certainly
上して
present
ご覧に
you,
入れ
present
ま
you
す。
with an incredible tale.
そうそう。やっぱりナイフとフォークって食器として原始的ですよね。
Oh, no, it's still Erica. It's still Erica. It was a factory reset. That's right, when it comes to utensils, knives and forks are pretty
お
primitive.
箸が一番です。
Chopsticks are the best.
サラダを最も食べやすいのはお箸だとは思いませんか？
Don't you think chopsticks are the easiest way to eat salad?
ね、皆さん。
Huh? Everyone? No. No, I don't. For the simple reason that what time is it? Hey, fuck you guys. 11:30 is plenty of time for a breakfast. Get out of here. Breakfast ends at noon. Anyway, my simple explanation for eating salad not with chopsticks sucking is chopsticks are probably really awkward to get anything off the bottom of a bowl. Any like lettuce on the bottom of a bowl. Otherwise, I assume people are dexterous enough to do everything else with them. Tyler-san returned to the guest house at 3 a.m.
その後30分くらいで皆さんも解散されたんで
Then
す
the
ね。
rest of you split up around 30 minutes later, right?
そうよ。
That's right.
いい加減眠くなってきて。
Drowsiness was finally starting to catch up to us.
一眠りしてから仕切り直そうってことになった
We
の
decided
よ。
to take a short rest, then start up again. To smoke out the murderer of the first Twilight, Erica closely questioned everyone involved to check their alibis and evidence. To confirm these, she went around the mansion with them, and when needed, took several trips out to the guest house through all the rain. Her vitality was impressive, although she was an uninvited guest. Everyone had long since stopped feeling anything strange about the way she played the detective. Seems Erica is steadily building her foundation.
無駄なことよ。
It's
アリ
useless.
バイがあろうとなかろうと、わらわたちの存在を否定することなどでき
Whether
ない。
alibis exist or not, she can't deny our
金
existence.
蔵は窓より逃れ、
Kinzo escaped through the window.
今や六軒島の
And
霞
now,
を
he's one with the mists of Rock and Jima.
決して捉えることも、否定することもできぬ。
You certainly won't be able to capture or deny him.
さしずめ、
When all is said and done,
チェス盤の裏側にでも逃げ込んだ。
perhaps you
Todemo
could say he
ieba
escaped to the
inokashira.
underside of the chessboard.
その場合はしまい込んだというのが適当でしょうな。
In that case, maybe it's more appropriate to say he's been stowed away. Then I guess we'll have to
So,
try and
yeah.
jostle him loose.
例の第一の番の死体。
Come to think about those corpses from the first
同
Twilight.
じくしまい込んだのであったな。
They've been stowed away too, right?
ええ。
Yes,
異界と
yes.
人間界の狭間
In
の
my darkness,
私の暗黒にしまってあるわ。
that which lies between this world and the next.
あの探偵気取りに見つけられることはあるまいな。
And that detective wannabe won't be able to find them?
当然よ。
Of course.
人間には絶対不可能だわ。
It'd be impossible for a human.
確認する？
Wanna check?
念のためな。
Just in
そし
case.
てわらわたちも今後のベルンカステル教の狙いを今一度読み直す必要があ
We
る。
also need to re-examine what Lady Berncastell's goals will be from now on.
敵を知れば百戦も危うからずですな。
If you know your enemy, you need not fear the outcome of 100 battles. Thanks,
真
Sun
に
Tzu.
知れば百戦も戦わずに勝てるわ。
If you know the truth, you can win 100 battles without fighting.
いやいや、
My,
全
my.
く。
Gop opened up a large hole in the sky and had it swallow all of them up. She invited Beato and Ronove to the gap between worlds where she hid the corpses. That place was nowhere in this world and existed at no time of this world. In other words, it was truly and literally a place not of this world. In this place, questions such as where is this and what time is it have no meaning whatsoever. Every single place led to here, but no place could be reached from here. Furthermore, at all times connected to this place, but no time could be passed to from here. In short, this place is what they said it was, the underside of the chessboard, or perhaps it'd be most appropriate to call this the captured pile where pieces have left the game go. Then, through the pitch-black world, a glow like a faint spotlight shone, and 5 corpses came into view. The 5 pitiful corpses with their necks sliced open had been arranged neatly. Their eyelids were shut, their hands joined. Apparently even Gop had respect for the dead. Aren't you a demon lord?
おや、今回のゲームの第一の番の犠牲者は
There are
5人なの
5
ですか
sacrifices for the first Twilight in this game?
6人ではなく
Not 6? Well, we're keeping it ambiguous, so... You know.
おお、お師匠様ではないか。
You teacher.
どこへ行っていたやら心配したのだぞ。
Sama. I was wondering where you'd gone.
ゲームはもう第一の番を迎えて、ご覧の通り最初の犠牲者が出ておるわ。
Game's already reached the first Twilight, and as you can see, the first victims have appeared. That's right, we got ourselves some victims.
さあ、いよいよだ。ワクワクしてきたぞ。
Getting so excited.
そうですか。
I see.
ここのあなたは元気そうですね。
You that is here looks to be in high spirits.
何よりです。
I'm pleased.
ん？
Oh?
わらわは元気と魅惑のボディ。
I've got high spirits and a
あ
captivating
と
body.
気立ての良さくらいしか取り柄がないぞ。
And in my charming distribution, and you've got my only strong points. I see. For some reason, Virgilia praised Beato for being in high spirits, though Beato was taken aback at such granny-like words coming out of Virgilia's mouth all of a sudden. She pounded her chest and answered. May as well. Maybe it's a good omen. Who knows? Virgilia had been absent often during this game. She might even have been absent when Battler solved the epitaph, as well as during the uproar that followed. Apparently, she'd been absent for so many critical points that she didn't really understand much about what happened so far in the game.
今のところ出ている死体は5人。
Right now, 5 corpses have appeared.
見ての通り、首をすっぱりよ。
As you can see, their necks have been slit. Thank you, Gop. George, Jessica, Maria, Rosa, Genji. Blonde and bouncy is your style. Nice. All 5 of them had their necks sliced open by something sharp. Rest in peace, Rosa and Maria, and Jessica. The wound opened wider than their mouths and made it feel as though they'd no longer need their mouths to breathe.
なるほど。
I see.
ジョージ、ジェシカ、マリア、ローザ、ゲンジの死体は誰が見ても一目で死亡が確認できると
Anyone
いうわ
looking
け
at
ですね。
She's still going. Anyone looking at George, Jessica, Maria, Rosa, or Genji's corpses could confirm at a glance they're dead. Yes?
赤か。
Red?
まあ、お師匠様にケチっても始まらぬ。
Well, there's no sense in me holding out against you.
そうとも。
That's right, that's right.
死んだふりなど絶対にありえぬ。
At a
誰
glance,
もが一目で死亡を確認できる死体であるわ。
at a glance, anyone could confirm these corpses are dead. It's absolutely impossible they're just playing dead. Well, that's good to know.
なぜリーアは赤を？
Why did Leah use the red? Shh. Don't question it too hard. I'm trying to get some advantage here.
さて、
Who knows?
しかし、常にお嬢様のことを思われている方で
However,
す。
she's always thinking of what's best for Milady.
お嬢様に利する何らかのお考
You
えがあ
probably
っ
had
ての
some
こと
idea
で
in
しょう。
mind that would benefit her.
ふん。
Alright. But they hid the corpses here specifically so no one would be able to use the red. However, Ronave was right. Virgilia always thought of Beatrice first. A slightly displeased expression rose to Gop's face as she saw the corpses she'd gone through such lengths to hide had now been confirmed dead in red. However, in the end, she remembered that she was only a guest and not a player. Or a piece. Or, yeah, she was just a guest.
なぜガープに死体を隠させたのですか?
She shrugged. Why did you have Gop hide the corpses?
うん。
Well, as to that.
今回のわらわのゲームはすでに碑文が解かれているため普段とは変わっておる。
Since the epitaph has already been solved, this game of mine is different from usual.
今は夏日に仕え、夏日を守ることを目的にしているのだ。
I have a new goal, serving and protecting Natsuhi.
彼らの死体を隠蔽することがどう夏日を守るのです?
Would concealing their corpses protect Natsuhi?
向こうの手は大体読めてるの。
We've more or less figured out what our opponent's
多
moves will
分
be.
これは夏日を追い詰めるための罠。
It's probably a trap meant to corner
おそら
Natsuhi.
く第一の番のアリバイを突き詰めていくと、夏日
Most
以外
likely.
の全員にアリバイが現れるのよ。
They'll sort through alibis for the first Twilight and then find them for everyone but her.
夏日様は昨夜は最初に親族会議を抜けられ、
Last
その
night,
後はお部屋で一人でお休みでした。
Natsuhi-sama was the first to leave the family conference and then rested alone in her room, giving her absolutely no
お
alibi.
気の毒なことに朝までアリバイが全くありま
Unfortunately,
せ
she
ん。
has no alibi whatsoever until the next morning.
金蔵の存在はすでに否定不能とした。
We already made Kinzo's existence impossible to deny. Yes,
しかし
and
一つだけ、それを打ち破る手が敵に残されている。
there's a single move remaining to our enemy that might cancel that out.
なるほ
I
ど。
see.
夏日を追い詰め、金蔵は存在しないと自白させるわけですね。
They'll corner Natsuhi and make her confess Kinzo doesn't exist.
うん。
Yes, it's still possible as
敵
long
の
as
狙いは
Natsuhi
お
is
そ
still
ら
a
く
target.
そんなあたりよ。
The enemy is probably after something like that. Cornering Natsuhi.
親
Seems
族
good.
会議をめぐる駒たちの動きからわらわたちはいち早く夏日の孤立を察知し
By watching the movements of the pieces involved with the family conference, we quickly realized that Natsuhi was isolated.
その罠に気づき
We noticed
こう
that
して
trap
手を
of
打っ
theirs
たのだ。
countered with this move. Yep.
死体が消える。
The corpses
全
disappear.
員にアリバイがあ
Everyone
る。
has alibis.
運搬者は存
And no one
在しない
exists who could have moved them except for Kraus.
魔女の存在を主張しつつ、同時に死亡説自体にも疑問を投じることで、
Not only does this support the claim that a witch exists, it also supports my irritation that
夏日をギリギ
there's
リ
so much talking
容
and that
疑者
wasn't
が
a complete
逃す
sentence.
ことができるわけ。
Kraus, you sussy baka. It also throws doubt on whether or not there was actually corpses in the first place, just barely allowing Natsuhi to escape being a suspect. It throws doubt on whether or not they were dead because they got their move. Yeah,
つま
okay.
り夏日様は
Luckily, yes,
Daiichi no
that's
ban no
confirmed in red that
gisei
they're actually dead. In other words, it's possible
実
for
は死んだ
Natsuhi-sama
ふりだったと主張することが可能ということですな。
to claim the sacrifices were only playing dead. Will Natsuhi try to claim the corpses were only playing dead? That'd be a ballsy move. Can you imagine, like, you kill 10 people, the cops come in? They're like, well, we got, like, 10 dead people here. I disagree, they're not dead. What do you mean they're not dead? They're just playing dead. Here, leave the room for a minute. The cops leave the room. They come back 5 minutes later, the bodies are gone. See? They're fine. They're fine. Ignore the loosely packed dirt in the backyard.
いとこ部屋で大勢がその死を確実に確認しているにもかかわらずですか?
You mean, even though many people confirmed the deaths without fail in the cousin room?
確認など赤き真実に到底及ばぬ。
Your confirmation of facts doesn't even come close to approaching the red truth. The red truth is far more useful.
彼らがいくら確かな死亡を見たと主張しようとも人間界に赤き真実は存在しない。
No matter how much everyone claims to have truly witnessed their deaths, the red truth doesn't exist in the human world.
死体が存在しない以上
And because the
夏日
corpses
は
don't
彼らの
exist,
その言い分を見間違いトリックもしくは 彼らが全員嘘をついているなどで
Natsuhi can discount their words as a mistake, some sort of trick, or she can say they were all lying.
いくらでも延々と言い逃れが可能なのだ。
Yeah, okay, and it's also possible for her to do this over and over to buy herself time.
赤き真実なき人間界においてはパーペチュアルチェックは最も有効な一手
which lacks the red truth. Perpetual check is a valid move.
延々と相手を否定し合っての水かけ論。千日手。
An endless argument with both sides denying each other's claims. Wonderful,
美し
isn't
く
it?
ないわ。
Not pretty.
ですが
True.
しかし美しさとは勝利の先に望むもの
Beauty is something to be sought only after victory. I mean, even if we had red truth, people would
勝
deny
利
red
を得
truth
ぬ者
anyway.
が欲すれば毒にしか
When
なり
those
ません
have victory seek it, it's not but poison.
勝てば官軍というでな。
But they say might make choice.
私にとっては美しくなくても、
Even if I don't think it's beautiful,
後悔者の魔女たちはそれを退屈しないというんで
these Voyager
好む
witches will
のかしらね
probably like it and say, it isn't boring.
なるほど。
Let's see.
今回のゲームの流れを把握しました。
I've grasped the flow of this game. Guess that means Nazis innocent, no corpses, no crime. I guess so. What they say, right? No body, nobody's dead. Oh, that's only TV shows. Never mind. Guess they're dead, Natsuhi. Sorry. Virgilia's got
随
the flow
分
of
と
the
いや
game.
らしいものになりそうです
I。imagine it'll get quite nasty.
百も承知よ。
Oh, we're aware of
そ
that.
して私たちはすでに夏日がこれからさらなる罠に
And
誘
we
い込まれ
already
るだ
know
ろうことを知
Natsuhi's
ってい
probably
る。
about to be lured into yet another trap. That's what she gets for being so sussy, though. You don't want to be trapped? Don't be sus.
罠
A trap? Yep, it's coming. Oh, sorry.
うん。
Indeed.
ラムダデルタ教が生み出す19年前の男を名乗る何者かがすでに夏日を脅迫している。
Someone Lambda Delta created. One who calls themselves the man from 19 years ago has already threatened Natsuhi.
もうじきの午後1時にとある客室のクローゼットの中に入り息を潜めよと命じているのだ。
She was ordered to go into a closet in a certain guest room in a few minutes at 1 p.m. and hide
ク
there.
ラウスを人質に取られ夏日は逆らえん。
Kraus was apparently taken hostage, so Natsuhi can't resist.
なるほど。
I see.
必要ですね。
How
かばい
relentless.
きれますか
Can you protect her?
無論よ。
Of course.
何しろ夏日は犯人ではないのだからな。
After all, Natsuhi isn't the culprit.
いくら犯人扱いしようとも真実も幻想も我らに味方する。
No matter how much she's treated as the culprit, both the culprit and or both the truth and the phantoms are on our side.
負ける道理などないわ。
There's no way we'll lose. That kind of confidence always ends badly. Oh. You're just begging your own defeat. Begging for it. Natsuhi threw her cup of tea to the ground in protest, expressing the anger that flowed through her entire body.
それは
What do
ど
you
ういう
think?
意味ですか
Ah, are we just jumping to the execution of the trap here?
私が疑わしいというのですか
Are you saying you suspect me?
先に抜けられて自室に戻り朝まで部屋を出なかったというお話はたまわり
You
ました。
told me you left before anyone else, returned to your room, and didn't leave the room until morning. It is sus, you
し
know.
かしそれを証明していただかないとアリバイにはならないと申し上
However,
げ
you
てる
can't
ので
prove
す。
it. If you cannot prove it, it doesn't count as an alibi. That's fair. It's not a provable thing she's doing. All right. I mean, I'll accept that. I'm not sure she's gonna like it, but it's acceptable.
証明どうやって
How could I possibly do that? That's the point. You can't.
どうやってでも結構です。
Doesn't matter how.
客観的にあなたには犯行が不可能だったと証明してもらえれば結構なのです。
Objectively speaking, it'll be fine as long as you can prove it was impossible for you to commit the crime.
他の皆さんは協力してくださっています。
Everyone else is cooperating.
夏日さんもそう邪険にされず、どうか
Stop
アリバイと
being so
そ
hostile
の
and
証
give me
拠
your
を示
alibi
して
along
もら
with
いたい
proof.
と思いまして。
She's not gonna say the man on the phone held her hostage.
そうよ。
That's right.
夏日姉さんには丸一晩の空白時間があるのよ。
Almost the whole night's a blank space in time for Natsuhi-san.
先に休むと言って会議を抜け、ゲストハウスへ行き、ジョージたちを襲ったかもしれない。
Maybe she left the conference saying she wanted to rest before us, went to the guest house and attacked George and the others.
バカなことを言わないでください。
Please don't be such
ど
a
う
fool.
して私がジョージ君を、そして何より自分の娘を殺さなくてはならないというので
I'm
す
gonna
か。
kill George Coon, and on top of that, my own daughter, Jessica. Well, I don't know why you would. We're just saying you did. We're not looking for reasons.
落ち着いて。
Calm down.
私たちは等しく疑われてるわ。
We're all equally suspicious. Some of us more equal than others.
悲しいけど、潔白の証明は各々がしなくてはならない。
It's sad, but we all have to prove our innocence.
ああ、
Yeah,
俺たちだって疑いを晴らそうと
We've
必
been
死に
thinking
昨夜のアリ
frantically
バ
about
イ
how
立
to
証に頭を悩ませてるんだぜ。
We've been thinking frantically about how to prove our alibis for last night so we could clear up the suspicion against us.
夏日さんかて疑われて面白いはずもあらへん。
I know you can't like being suspected,
悔しい
Natsuhi.
と思うなら自分の潔白を証明する何かを探すのが先決とちゃうか。
If it frustrates you, shouldn't your first priority be searching for some way to prove your innocence? If Natsuhi is the culprit, why didn't she prepare an alibi for any of the crimes? Because even though you assume criminals that commit murder are masterminds, it's not necessarily true. And on average, the average person has not covered all their bases in terms of what to do after they just murdered someone. Like they go a lot of the time people aren't thinking too harshly or like meticulously setting up their murder so that they can't be caught. That said, I think Natsuhi should have had a plan. That is an okay argument to be like, well, why didn't she set something up? But I'm not sure it works for her. I mean, I think she probably should have had an alibi. But I mean, she may not have one just because she was busy killing people and Kraus was her alibi or something, and he disappeared. Because they had to like do something on the fly or something like that. Although I'm kind of surprised none of these furniture is speaking up for her and giving her her alibi, but she doesn't really want to admit to being held hostage in this route, so like, it's kind of just awkward. She's apparently being held prisoner and commanded by the mystery man on the phone all the time. Which is the influence her actions, but it could just be murder. Murder could be the answer. The relatives spoke as though they were all under equal suspicion. They definitely aren't. The mood about the place didn't feel so peaceful. Erica was still in the middle of confirming all the facts. But except for Natsuhi, who was uncooperative when it came to proving alibis, everyone else had an alibi that was reasonably credible. Only Natsuhi, who claimed that even being suspected was an insult, was uncooperative with Erica. That sounds like Natsuhi. Overly defensive. And her position began growing more and more perilous. The parlor was no longer a place of comfort for Natsuhi. And the sound of the cup smashing had made that decisive. It's ridiculous. Bakabakashi is her favorite word, I swear. Why must I be suspected when I've lost a daughter?
私が昨夜一人で先に休んだからと犯人と決めつけようとする悪意。
You're maliciously trying to make me look like the culprit because I went to bed early last night.
こんな屈辱にはこれ以上耐えられません。
I can't stand this humiliation any further.
へえ、耐えられなきゃどうするの？
What are you gonna do about it? Gonna kill someone else?
あなたの無実を証明するアリバイを何か示してみせなさいよ。
Show us an alibi that proves your innocence.
そんなものないくせに。
As if
ジ
you
ョージを
could.
返して、この人殺し。
Give me George back, murderer.
予算買えば。
Stop it,
夏
Ava.
さん、あんたも少し疲れてるんや。
Natsuhi, you're probably a bit tired too.
もちろん、それはわしらもや。
The same goes for us, of course.
少し楽にせん
Why
か。
don't we take it easy for now? Why is Kraus missing when you're not, Ava? Why do you not even have the same room as Kraus?
俺
Seriously.
たちは少し気を張りすぎだ。
We're a little too high strung.
夏日おばさん、どこ行くんだよ。
Where are you going?
アリバイ探しも犯人探しも実に滑稽です。
Searching for alibis of the culprit would be truly laughable at this point.
台風が過ぎ警察が来れば全てが白日の下にさらされるのです。
When the typhoon passes and the police come, everything will be exposed to the light of
私
day.
たちが探偵ごっこをする理由など何もない。
Yeah, Gop calls out, "Oh, sure, I'll give him back." Corpse falls out of the ceiling. There's your precious George-kun. Blood splattered in nothing but his underwear. Alright, there's no reason whatsoever for us to play it being detectives.
違いますか、エリカさん。
Am I wrong, Erika-san?
一般論的にはそうですね。
Generally speaking, you're correct.
ですが、私にはそれをする権限があります
Never
の
I do
で。
have the authority to do this. Who gave her that authority? No one asked. It was an authority given by words of power from a higher world, though pieces weren't even allowed to doubt it.
私は退出します。
I'm
警
leaving.
察が来るまで皆さんのくだらない問答にも付き合うつもりはありません。
I have no intention of going along with your pointless questioning before the police come.
私を疑うならどうぞご自由に。
Suspect me? Feel free to do so. What time is it? 1 o'clock? She's probably like
それを
leaving.
疑い晴らすことも私は警察に委ねますので。
I'm counting on the police to clear away that suspicion. We may be late to mention this, but then again, I guess it happens every time anyway. As usual, the phone couldn't connect to the police. Natsuhi said the police would be coming, but that wasn't exactly true. Strictly speaking, the boat would come tomorrow and they would use the radio on the boat to contact the police. Well, it's not like I'll let everyone live that long anyway.
夏日さん、一人になるのは危険だ。
Natsuhi-san, it's dangerous to go.
ここにみんなで一緒にいた方が。
Perhaps it would be better if we stayed here, and she's like, fuck you, I'm going to this room and hiding in a closet.
いいじゃない。
Why not let her?
それも立派な証明かもよ。
Might make good
こ
proof.
れで夏日姉さんが自室で殺されてたりしたら、それも立派な無実の証明だわ。
If Natsuhi-san gets killed in her own room, that'll be excellent proof of her innocence. Not very nice, but I guess that's true.
よせよ、姉
Not I
貴。
guess, it is true. Quit it, Aniki.
夏日さんも俺たちも少し一服した方がいいだろう
Probably
な。
best if we all get a bit of rest.
明日まで体が持たねえぜ。
Our bodies won't last until tomorrow. Speak for
一
yourself,
服はしても
Rudolph.
油断はせずにね。
If we're gonna take a break, we mustn't let our guards
明
down,
日
Gutted.
どころか今夜も越せないかもしれないわよ。
We may not make it through the night, much less tomorrow.
夏日おばさん、
Oh,
部屋
Natsuhi.
へ帰るならしっかり施錠して窓も鎧戸を
If
閉
you're
めて
returning to your room, make
安全
sure
にして
you
て
lock
くれ
it
よ。
tight.
俺は誰も疑いたくない。
Close the windows and shutters too. Stay safe.
そしてそれ以上に
I don't want to suspect
も
anyone.
うこれ以上
More than
誰にも
that,
犠牲になってほしくない。
Don't want there to be any more victims.
ありがとう、バトラ
Thanks,
ー。
Battler.
では
Thanks.
私は部屋に戻
I'll
ります。
return to my room.
ゴーダ、あとは任せますよ。
Yoda, you're in
お
charge
客
now.
様にせめてこのような状況ではあってもご不自由をおかけしないように。
I know this is a horrible situation, but see to it that our guests have everything they need.
はい、奥様。
Yes, ma'am.
心得ております。
I shall do so. Interesting. Gotta get second place after Genshi over Shannon and Kennen. With everyone watching her, Natsuhi left the parlor. From their faces, she could tell they were expecting the classic mystery pattern that the first person to quarrel and leave the circle becomes the next victim. Natsuhi couldn't disobey because of the threat against Kraus, who'd been taken hostage. Very soon it would be the promised time at 1 p.m. He was to hide for an hour in the closet of a specific guest room. It was easy to suspect this bizarre order was a trap to select her as the next sacrifice. Isn't it just a command that removes her alibi, that gives her no alibi? He thought of various ways to resist. None of them productive, though. All of them useless against a culprit with a hostage who was observing her from close by. Natsuhi could do nothing but obediently follow the order, then claim she'd been forced to do this for her husband's safety. When the promised time drew near, Natsuhi had intentionally acted annoyed and smashed the cup on the ground to give her an excuse for slipping out of the parlor. At any rate, no matter how cowardly a trap it may be, I can't disobey now. I mean, it's just there to deflect blame, right? It's pushing blame onto her instead of another person. Because the more sus she is, without doing anything, the easier it is to just point the finger at her. Anyway, I'm now the one who carries the burden of the one-winged eagle. Now that my husband Kraus has been captured, I must protect it even if I have to crawl through the mud. Of course, I'm prepared to do so. I am Ushiromiya Natsuhi, even if I'm not permitted to wear the one-winged eagle on my clothes. Father gave me permission to bear it in my heart. Yeah. Wasn't that copium, Father? The one that's not real? I've managed to get this far by plausibly dashing away in a rage. So far, everything has gone well. Before my eyes was the doorknob of the specified guest room. However, I wonder if it's locked. The servants are normally ordered to lock any unused rooms. What will I do if it's locked? I dashed away from the others, pretending I was returning to my room. Popping back and asking a servant to unlock the guest room would be very suspicious. If I can, I'd like to get this eerie hide-and-seek over with without anyone noticing. In that phone call from the one who claimed to be the man from 19 years ago, he said I would win if no one found out, but lose if anyone did find out. He said my husband would be released whether I won or lost, but as a person with a hostage taken against me, I'd rather not lose. I don't like it at all. I have to go along with the game. When I softly gripped the doorknob, I could feel it was unlocked. Did Shannon or Kumasawa forget to lock it after cleaning? Or did that man unlock it in advance? That man couldn't be waiting for me in this room, could he? And then... All that about hide and seek might have been a mere excuse. I kept the fact I was coming here secret and all the others think I'm resting in my room. If I were to be killed in this situation, it might create a new baffling murder case like an extension of the one that occurred this morning. Might actually turn out for the better. Perhaps it's a good chance to confront the culprit directly. Natsuhi had some experience with using a Nagi Nada, though only casually. Unlike Eva, she couldn't brag about being able to hold off any single ruffian indefinitely. Yeah, that's probably not exactly a useful skill. Like, yes, I can use Check's note. A sword spear. So you're expecting to be wielding a sword or a spear, possibly both in any fight you get into? Not super useful in real life. As she was now, she had no realistic chance of challenging a man with malicious intent and winning. Even if sword fighting, even if to some degree you could argue that like martial arts or sword play or work with a polearm gives you some of the motions and concepts for fighting. I guess she has better weapon skill than someone else, right? She has a decent chance of hitting someone, just not as good as dedicated martial arts, right? Or self-defense. As she was now, she had no realistic chance of challenging a man with malicious intent and winning. Well, good luck. That means it's above 0, but probably close to 0. That said, I don't think she's going to confront anyone here, right? She readied herself and slowly opened the door. She couldn't stand around. She just couldn't just stand in the corridor and risk being seen by someone. The atmosphere inside the guest room was frigid, and she could sense no trace of anyone waiting impatiently for her. All she could hear were the unsettling sounds of the wind and rain. At first, this seemed to prove there was no one here to threaten her, but soon it only made an uneasy feeling rise up inside her, even more strongly than before. The closet was off to the side of anyone entering the room. Lined up inside it was a set of hangers for coats. This closet, which had nothing hanging in it, was large enough for even an adult to hide in. She softly opened the closet. Of course, there was nothing inside. She'd have to hide quietly here for an hour. The room had a wooden floor, but something like a carpet had been laid in the closet. Oh, that's convenient. Alright, it's not comfortable, but at least you can, you know what I do? Because you just have to hide there. No one's expecting you to be here. Grab a pillow from the bed, lay down in the closet and take a nap. That's what I do. Be like, fuck it, no one's gonna check in here anyway. Maybe I lock the door to make sure they don't check. And then it's nap time. It seems sitting down wouldn't be a problem. She'd been sure someone would be waiting for her in this room. No, that doesn't make sense. Or a strange letter would be lying in the closet. Worst case, she'd even imagined her husband's corpse might be inside there. However, none of these things she imagined turned out to be true. The only thing there was a cold guest room. That's okay. And a lifeless closet that silently urged her to enter. Oh, the only thing there was a cold guest room.
この中に
Okay. And he
1時
told
間
me to
隠
hide
れていろというので
here
すね。
for an hour.
バカにした話です。
He's mocking me. No, he's forcing you to lose any trace of an alibi you could have when you're accused of murder. Natsuhi shrugged, turned around, and then locked and chained the guest room door.
これでこの部屋には誰も入れないではありませんか。
This way, no one will be able to get into the room.
つまり1時間の間誰にも私を見
In
つけ
other
るこ
words,
とはで
no
き
one will be
ない。
able to find me for the next hour.
私の勝ちです。
I win.
バカバカしいかくれんぼですね。
The stupid game of hide and seek. This surely must be a total victory in the hide and seek game against the mystery man. However, it's such an easy victory it made her feel uneasy. Normally this would be against the rules of hide and seek. Even if she won, wouldn't this displease the culprit? And now everyone thought she returned to her room. If they found a room with a chain set, that would make an impossible closed room to them. Erica dashed to the mansion to confirm alibis or something. If she noticed the chain was set on this room, there would probably be an uproar that would end in them cutting the chain and searching the room. If that happened, Natsuhi would be found hiding in the closet right away. It would be easy to honestly confess as to why she'd been hiding. However, the man insisted she not reveal that, and if she did talk, she might endanger her husband. Thinking of it that way, setting the chain or even the lock might be a bad idea. Right. The room was unlocked when I came here. If it were to suddenly become locked, it's conceivable it might catch someone's attention. It's better if I don't do something unnecessary. The man only told me to hide. In the end,
結局言いなりになるし
I
か
have no choice but to do what he says.
ないのですね。
No choice. I hate doing it, but I can't disobey. I undid those 2 precious locks. Back into the dimly lit closet we go. Smell of old wood. And we just close that shit from the inside. Pitch black. It reminded me of when I was young, when I used to hide somewhere and then surprise my mother. But that peaceful recollection wasn't enough to kill off my anxiety. It really is pitch black. From here on, I won't even be able to check my watch to see if an hour has passed. I'll probably need to open a door a crack every once in a while to let in enough light for my watch. For now, I'll crouch down here. I thought about clutching my knees, but it hurt my back when I tried. I'm not as young as I used to be. Even though I was made to sit on the floor holding my knees in every PE class as a grade schooler, I now have to struggle just to sit down. Just crouching down here for an hour will probably hurt a lot. I can't believe I'll be hiding in the darkness for a full hour with nothing to hear except the wind and the rain. Ironically, Natsuhi had made Jessica do the same thing in the past. She'd done it when Jessica was a little girl to scold her for her persistent bad habits and teach her a lesson. She'd thought that making Jessica stay put in the darkness would spout a desire to reflect on her mistakes, and that this way she would understand what she had done wrong. It almost feels like I'm being made to do the same thing, if that's the true purpose of this hide and seek.
甘えた考えです。
How naive of me. It must be in my naivety, the hope that if their goal is to make me repent, nothing will happen here during this hour. Uncertainty and fear of that man's shadow are not what I need right now. Will someone suddenly come to this room, open the closet, and do something as horrible to me now that I've come here in total secrecy as promised? That's what I should be worrying about. The culprit, or one of his accomplices, is close by. If they weren't, they wouldn't be able to observe me thoroughly. I don't want to think about it, but it's highly likely the culprit bought off one of the servants. The culprit hid an eerie card with autumn written on it in my room. My personal room is always locked. The trick wouldn't have been possible without a key, and instead of believing that they obtained the key when the servants weren't looking, it's much more realistic to assume one of the servants lent the culprit a hand.
しかし
But
どう
how?
して私の好きな季節が秋だと。
How'd they know autumn's my favorite season? How the fuck does your apparent, how old was he? Like, 1 month old child know that autumn's your favorite season? You assumed he was your child because he assumed that this creepy guy is your child and took, like, him knowing your favorite season as evidence when you only had him for, like, less than a week and he was a literal baby. There's no way a baby knows that. But in this reality, that's apparently reasonable.
気持ちが悪い。
Thought that this mystery man might be peeking into my heart sends goosebumps running across my whole body. It's true I like autumn, but I've never said it aloud. I don't think anyone's ever heard me say it. If I asked even my husband what my favorite season is, he'd probably be stumped for an answer. And oh, so like no one knows it, and you have no clue why anyone knows it. Couldn't have this just been a good guess? You had to answer first. You could have easily just said something else. No, just once. I told it to a single person. That's right. Shannon. Oh, interesting. On an autumn day long ago, I happened to be in a good mood, and I mentioned that autumn was my favorite of the 4 seasons. Start sweating nervously. So the culprit, or one of their accomplices, has to be Shannon. The fact that like autumn can only be known by Shannon. It could be known by canon. Or anyone else who was around. In that case, it's clear proof Shannon's involved. Unless it was like literally like the last, like a day ago, Shannon's probably not under any obligation to keep that a secret, so she could have told anyone, including the other servants. If it was incredibly recent, maybe. That card with autumn on it is proof? Outrageous. Served the family for 10 years. Dude, but any of the servants who could get into your room could do that. And Shannon could have told any of the servants. You're assuming that information like that would never be shared between any servants. Like, they don't gossip. Like, Kumasawa isn't lurking around the fucking house looking for any weird information to be like, oh, I got you now. Trembled and shook with rage. Didn't Kinzo say that anger is the fastest sedative to cure fear and uncertainty? It's easy to tell the most fearful humans from within a crowd. They're always the first to get angry. I remember him telling me that. So I realized this anger was a sign I was actually frightened. I tried my best to remain calm. However, this is a vital clue for turning things around. Shannon may not be reliable as a servant, but if she's an accomplice used by that mystery man, it might be convenient. A weak-willed girl, if I threaten her, she'll probably spill the name of the mastermind in an instant. I'll secretly tell the police about this. It might become a big clue towards arresting the culprit. The card was probably meant to shock me and get me to do what he says. Like, okay, let's think of this line of thought. I know Natsuhi is like on a anti-Shannon crusade, but here, let's think of this line of thought. All right, Shannon is asked, or so Canon, let's say, is asked to find out what Natsuhi's favorite season is. Canon not wanting to, you know, be rude or act like anything other than furniture in front of Natsuhi, asks Shannon if she knows. He maybe even asks Genji too. He says, what's Natsuhi's favorite season? Shannon going, oh, I know that trivia, and says autumn. Therefore, Canon is the one that put the thing here under her clock. It's that easy. You don't have any control over this information. If you've told one person and it's not something that sounds like a secret, it might go out. Even if it is a secret, it might have gotten out anyway. But like, this is like your favorite season. This isn't exactly like top secret information, like the fact that Kinzo's fucking dead. This is something that like a random person could ask and you might reasonably share if you think they actually have a genuine reason to be interested in Natsuhi's favorite season. Card was meant to shock me and give me to it says? Yes, it was. He's actually dug his own grave? No, Natsuhi is not thinking. Her logic sucks. I never told anyone except Shannon that I like autumn. This is unshakable proof that she's working with the culprit. So she red texted that, which means it's true, but I'm saying anyone else could have told, Shannon could have told anyone else. Easy. Though I once thought this time in the closet would crush me with uncertainty and uneasiness, it's actually given me the start of a counterattack. If I wasn't given this time in the darkness, I probably wouldn't have noticed this. I'm almost grateful to the culprit for making up this foolish game, and I'm almost disappointed in Natsuhi for being so short-sighted. Hopefully, the hour in the closet is enough time for her to realize that Shannon could have told someone else, because it doesn't sound like confidential information. My mood brightened. I still can't guarantee my husband is safe, but I'll definitely get him back and force the culprit to face judgment. I clenched my fist tightly and further strengthened my resolve to avoid losing in this fight at any cost. Rattle, rattle, rattle. At the time, I heard a sudden sound of someone trying to force the locked door open. My heart leapt.
なんや、開いとったんか。
Oh, it was unlocked. That's an unusual voice. The voice was Hideyoshi's. Oh. I heard that quiet voice as though he was talking to himself, coming from what was probably the hallway. Apparently he thought it was locked and tried to unlock it. But he'd ended up locking the unlocked door instead. Once again, there was the sound of a lock turning, and now the door opened with a faint sound. Why is Hideyoshi-san in this room? Footsteps that sounded like his came in, and there was the sound of him closing and locking the door behind him. Then came what seemed to be the sound of him setting the chain. Don't tell me. Hideyoshi-san is the mastermind? Or an accomplice? Is he planning to do something to me in this room? It would take time to unlock the door from this side, much less remove the chain. If Hideyoshi doesn't intend to let me escape from here, he won't give me enough time to undo the chain. In that case, if he opens the closet door and sees me crouching here pathetically, just what kind of fearsome words will he say? I don't want to be found. I don't want to be found. I don't want to be found. Please pass by on the right on by the closet door. Please keep going into the center of the room. My head was so filled with a throbbing sound, it felt like it was about to explode, and I almost missed hearing his noisy footsteps. When I heard a clunking sound coming from the center of the room, I realized he'd passed by the closet and was deeply relieved. Just in case. In this weather, it's pretty much night out there anyway. As he whispered, he did something that made a clunking sound. He's probably closing the shutters on the windows. Just in case? In case I try to escape out the window? That can't be it. Right. When I left the parlor, everyone was talking about the possibility of taking a break. After all, several murders have occurred and the weather's bad. There'd be nothing abnormal if someone chose to rest in a guest room here instead of returning to the guest house. In that case, locking up and closing the shutters to guarantee safety is the proper course of action to take. When he finished closing the shutters, there was a thunk, as though he'd flopped over on the bed. It was surprising how much of the situation could be grasped just by the sound. What's going on here? Did the man from 19 years ago plan this out to put me in the same room as Hideyoshi-san? That probably isn't true. He probably planned on me hiding here, but Hideyoshi coming here to take a rest must have been outside the scope of his plan. Thinking about it that way, having him in the room might be odd, but it also might guarantee my own safety. Unlike his wife, Hideyoshi-san is the kind of person I can talk to. If Eva comes, things will probably get complicated. Maybe I should slip out of this closet now while he's still alone, reveal everything just to him, and ask for help. But if I do that, my husband might be killed. And until my husband is released, I shouldn't do anything rash. Should I go out and talk? Or perhaps hide here? Moaning from my headache and biting my lower lip, I resisted the urge to crawl out of here. Even if I talk with Hideyoshi-san, I don't know where my husband is being held, and I'm sure the traitor who's observing me is nearby. Just talking to him won't solve anything. Or everything. I suspect Shannon's the traitor, but the snowproof Goda and the others aren't. It's all useless, I guess. Leaving here and confessing's too dangerous. Eventually I heard a strange sobbing voice. Whose voice was that? I strained my ears trying to hear that strange voice, and was shocked to discover it was Hideyoshi weeping. Hideyoshi, who lost his only son, was finally able to shed tears and cry now that he was all alone like this. Thinking that he needed to support Eva in her distress, he acted as though he alone was standing firm. However, he had as good a right to cry as anyone. And now he's found a place where no one can see his tears. He finally let himself do it, and I've lost my daughter. I haven't seen her corpse with my own eyes, so it still doesn't feel like she's dead. But if the one who carried her off was the culprit, and he had some repulsive motive for doing it, just thinking about it makes me feel as though my chest will tear itself apart. The reason I'm hiding here now is that I'm thinking more about my still living husband than my dead daughter. But if I were given the chance, I'd be wailing at the top of my lungs too. However, I still can't let myself do that. It isn't because the man from 19 years ago told me to hide. It's because I'm the final head of the Ashirmiya family. It's been completely overshadowed by the recent uproar, but that last night, Battler-kun found the hidden gold and even gained the head's ring from the mysterious envelope. At the very, very end, when it's all over, I probably won't be able to prevent his ascension as head. And when everything regarding the distribution of the inheritance is revealed, the family's honor and glory, passed down from father, will plummet to the earth. So I'm the final head. Battler will inherit the remaining wealth of the Yashiromiya family, but its honor and history will all end with my generation. Therefore, I am the final head. I must not cry, not yet. Until I get my husband back and avenge my daughter, I won't be allowed to shed tears. In the closet, I silently hung my head as I listened to Hideyoshi-san's sobs. Who are you? My heart leapt. I heard a sound that must have been Hideyoshi-san, who had probably been lying prostrate on the bed, bounding to his feet. Did he notice me? Well, Hideyoshi's gonna die and you're not gonna notice the killer because you didn't open the closet far enough? How did you get in here? What's that? Wait a second. Ava, or not Ava, Natsuhi, meanwhile, not acting when he's like, who are you? How'd you get in here? My first thought would have been to, like, immediately get out there and be like, what the fuck's going on? But I guess, to be like, oh, I can catch the killer, maybe? Or at least try to, you know, even if you don't want to go out, maybe opening the door to immediately see who it is and then hiding. He was clearly in a struggle with someone. Who on earth could it be? It doesn't matter who it is. It's probably the culprit and they're going to take Hideyoshi-san's life. Shouldn't I jump out here and help him? If I can't help him, shouldn't I call for help? But if I do something like that, I'll be questioned about why I was hiding here. But if Hideyoshi gets killed like this, it's not the time to be saying that. At this rate, he'll certainly be killed. I'll jump out of here and help him right now. But if I do that, even if I can save Hideyoshi, I might abandon my husband's life. She's gonna sit here and wait until he dies. The classic waiting. The classic waiting 20 minutes to help someone. Hideyoshi's life and my husband's life. How sinful it would be to try and weigh those against each other. At the time, there was a loud sound as the door opened and the chain was pulled tight. Someone was trying to open the door despite the chain being set. Here, it's me. Could you open up? Ava! Ava! Dear? What's happening? Dear? Open up. Well, you made your choice, Natsuhi. You made your choice, Natsuhi. This is entirely on you for getting caught. And also, like, the lamest, it's like, the killer might be in here. Will I attempt to get information about the killer? Will I attempt to save Hideyoshi? Or will I simply listen to the sound of him dying and pray that nobody finds his corpse with me hiding in the closet? In a locked room. Yeah, okay. Good call, Natsuhi. Open up. Open up, dude. She opened and closed the door over and over with all her might, but of course she couldn't snap the chain. Ava-san called for help in a loud voice and raced through the hallway. By the time the room had settled back into silence and the earlier sense of Hideyoshi being in a noisy struggle disappeared completely, well, you better get the fuck out of the room. What's going on here? So right now I'm in the same room as the murderer who killed Hideyoshi, and in that case the culprit should try to escape from the room as soon as possible, but so why are they hiding in here? I haven't heard anything. Nothing that might have been the culprit who attacked Hideyoshi-san running away. No matter how much I strain my ears, I can't hear anything. Like, I can't sense anyone in the room. In fact, it's so silent it makes it sound like what happened just a second ago was an illusion. In other words, does this mean the culprit's hiding his breath? Standing outside the closet, waiting for me to stumble out? I don't even know what I should be scared of anymore. If only I could just melt away into the darkness of this closet. I mustn't remain in this room any longer. I get the feeling I have more to worry about than just my personal safety, but what do? I don't even know if it's a good idea to leave the closet. Eventually, the clamor of many rushing footsteps approached. Oh, well, she waited again. Gops, black holes. Yeah, I guess so. Oh, she waited so long. Okay, I was gonna say, like, you could maybe escape. You could maybe escape and at least not be caught in the room with the chain. But she decided to wait until someone came back. That's not a great sign. Because, like, waiting until Ava rushes off, then immediately unlocking the door and blitzing out of there to your own room is like an okay strategy, you know? You're sus because you were in your room, but at least you aren't caught in this room. I'll hold my breath again and melt away into the darkness of the closet. Ava dashed back, bringing everyone with her. Goto was gripping some wire cutters to cut the chain with. After trying to open the door again and confirming the chain was still set, she yelled through the crack in the door. We're opening this up. Cut it now. Cut it now. Yes. Goto stuck the large wire cutter, which looked like it could slice off a whole finger through the crack of the door, and easily severed the chain. She could pretend to be knocked out. I don't think anyone's gonna buy that considering how suspicious she is, but I guess you could last ditch pretend to have been knocked out and stuffed in a closet. As soon as it was severed, Eva pushed Goto aside and dashed in. The others tried following her, but they bumped into Eva, who'd fallen to her knees, moaning. Even though they couldn't tell much of what was going on inside the room, they could tell by her moans they were too late. What the hell? Wait. This clearly isn't the two who are close, because Ava's not dead and Hideyoshi is dead. Weird, isn't it? Anjo! Come on, quickly! Also, based on how the murders have been committed, he might have actually been stabbed with a knife, and you could have attempted to try to keep him alive for like 10 more seconds to tell him who killed him. But I guess that's not part of her strategy either. A bold move, I guess. Doing nothing, literally the worst move. But hey, alright. I'll do it right now. You gotta be kidding me. It's been 10 minutes since Uncle Hideyoshi went out saying he wanted to rest. Is there anyone in the bathroom? No. No one there. Could have happened. I'm afraid. There's nothing I can do. Nanjo stood up, hanging his head sadly. It was only natural, because anyone, even if they weren't a doctor, would think that at a glance. Hideyoshi was laying face down on the bed, and stuck deep into his back was something like a blade with an intricate demon design on it. Or demonic design. If Natsuhi leaves the closet, she risks being attacked by the killer. That's why I said, like, she has a few choices. The first and most obvious choice, or the first choice, like, or I guess the laziest choice, is to do nothing and learn nothing, which is safe from the killer. But if someone finds you in the room with the corpse, with the door locked, I mean, it looks really suspicious, then your next choice is to, like, move a little bit and just try to see if you can get a bead on the killer. Like, can you see him? You know, open the closet a crack and see if you could have a look at him. She chooses not to do that. The third choice was to come out of the closet before the killer finished off Hideyoshi to try and help him. The next choice is to try and keep him alive or ask him before he bleeds out who the killer is. And she doesn't do any of these. And then once their body or his danger is discovered, your next choice is to get the fuck out of the room before you're caught. She also decides not to do anything there. And now she's, like, stuck with basically praying that they don't decide to open the closet door. When Eva pulled it out with all her might, they could tell it wasn't a blade, but some kind of stake, and its sharp tip penetrated nearly 15 centimeters in. It probably dug deep into the lungs. If it had been stuck in any harder, the tip might have pierced all the way to the surface of the chest. Didn't I tell you to wait for me? Why'd you go on alone? What about Crisis Life? It said don't be discovered. Oh, so one, the killer, there's a chance the killer is the mystery man. In which case, if you engage the mystery man, Kraus is fine. Okay? Second, he says the killer, second of all, you may not get caught. You're not necessarily caught if you open the door a crack. If you open the closet door a crack and take a look. Like, the closet door is probably... It's probably not, like, completely unusual to have, like most closets I've seen have, like, sliding doors of some description. So, like, they're not, like, front-back opening doors. So you could probably just, like, look out through a crack. and just see if you can get a beat on him. You aren't necessarily spotted. And again, you don't lose. He just said win or lose, like if you're in the closet. He doesn't... Like, I don't think Kraus is in danger if you just peek out. As long as you stay in the closet, you're good. So, like, staying in the closet's fine. Staying in the closet's fine as long as you try to manipulate, like, your information. If you're, like, desperate to follow that guy's orders, that would have been, like, the easiest plan, but whatever. Like, if you're thinking Mystery Man's the killer, though, like, if you're thinking Mystery Man's the one running around murdering people, like, you would immediately, but you should, like, immediately try to get information so that you can actually save Kraus. But that's all on her. Alright. The culprit probably waited for us to get careless and split up. Yep, classic strat. That bastard. Hasn't had enough blood.
やはりこの屋敷のどこかに隠れていて
So he really is hiding somewhere in this mansion.
私たちを狙っているのでしょうか
Coming after us?
それよりおかしいわ。
There's something strange
この
here.
部屋は戸締まりが完璧なのよ。
The doors and windows to this room are completely sealed.
確かに
That's right.
鎧戸もすべて閉まってますし、扉にはさっきまでチェーンが。
The shutters are all shut, and the door chain was set until a second ago.
それはおかしいではありません。それじゃ犯人はどうやってこのお部屋の秀吉様を襲ったというんですか
In that case, how did the culprit attack Hideyoshi-sama in this room?
扉の隙間からこの杭を投げて刺したとか。
Maybe they threw the stake through the crack in the door?
その隙間から秀吉さんのベッドは完全に死角よ。
Hideyoshi-san's bed is a total blind spot from this
銃
crack.
を使ったって殺せやしない。
You couldn't even kill him with a gun.
おかしな話になったわ。
It's strange.
密室殺人よ。
The closed room murder.
密室殺人
Murder?
そうと決めつけるのは早いぜ。
It's too early to be sure about
風呂
that.
場の天井を外して天井裏に逃げたとか。あるいは
Maybe.
鎧戸が実は外からでも閉められるとかな。
Maybe he removed the ceiling in the bathroom and escaped to the space above it, or maybe you can close the shutters from outside.
鎧戸は
The shutters.
外からはびくともしませんでした。
They didn't budge an inch from the outside.
今確認してきました。
Just went and checked.
エリコ。
Erica? It's no wonder everything felt so quiet and relaxed. At some point, Erica had split from the group. Just now, she'd finally arrived and poked her face in from the hallway. When she heard a crime had occurred in this room, she'd watched everyone rush towards the room, but circled around to the outer wall herself. She'd gone by herself to check that the shutter was down on the window, and that you couldn't do anything about it from the outside, and that there was nothing out of the ordinary.
室内は案の定お約束で
The inside of the room like usual?
そういう言い方はねえだろ。
There's no need to say it like that.
お悔やみ申し上げます。
My deepest apologies.
で、室内の状況は
What's the situation inside the room?
扉にはチェーンがかかっていて、私たちは切断して入ったわ。
The chain was set on the door, so we cut it and entered.
そして窓にはすべて鎧戸。
All the windows have the shutters
し
down.
っかり内側から施錠さ
They
れて。
locked tight from the inside.
奥は何を揉めてるんです
What are they bickering about in there? Ava was arguing with Nanjo about something. Apparently, she wanted to carry the corpse to the parlor. Nanjo tried to calm her, saying they should leave the crime scene as untouched as possible until the police came. But if they're hiding the body, you should probably try to keep the body around so it can be investigated.
ジョージたちの死体は
What happened to the other corpses?
犯人にどこかへ持っていかれちゃ
The
った
culprit
の
carried them off somewhere, right?
犯人は殺すだけじゃ飽き足らず遺体にまで何か無体なことをするつもりなのかもしれない
Maybe that the culprit isn't satisfied with just killing, but intends to do something with the corpses.
だからダメ
No way.
ここへ主人を一人ぼっちで残していくなんて
No way, we're leaving my husband all alone here. Ava does have a point. After all, the victims before now have been carried away after we were shown their terrible wounds.
エリカちゃん、
Erica-chan.
現場をそのままで保存したいだろうが、今回はちょいと折れ
You'd
てもら
probably
う
like
ぜ
to preserve the crime scene. Could you let this one slide?
どうぞご勝手に
Do whatever you'd like.
私にとって興味があるのは 金蔵さんの書斎よりはるかにまともな密室が出現したことだけです。
After all, all I'm interested in is the fact that a closed room has appeared that's much more serious than Kinzo-san's
死
study.
体には興味ありませんので、どうぞご自由
I
に
have
な
no
さって
interest in
ください。
corpses. Do as you please. Badler's expression was clearly unhappy, but she ignored him completely.
搬出していただいて結構ですよ。
Feel free to carry that corpse out any time.
それとも
Am I in
私
the
が
way?
邪魔ですか？
Erica backed away from the door to open a path. She showed no trace of any sadness for the dead. Her eyes simply blazed with thoughts of this closed room murder that had appeared. In any event, the great detective had given her permission. Ava and some others wrapped Hideyoshi up in the sheets, and Goda and Rudolph carried him out. The sheets were quickly stained red. It was painful to see that Shannon and Kumasawa stripped the blanket off the bed to further cover the corpse. Out of the way.
え、どいてますよ。
I am out of the way.
客前運ぼう。
Let's go to the parlor.
はい。
Yes.
あなた、あなた。
Ava keeps crying.
いいことみんな
Listen up,
これ
everyone.
からは常に団体行動よ。
From now on, we always move as a group.
絶対に孤立してはダメ。
Do not let yourself be isolated.
犯人は源氏さんを襲った時点でマスターキーを得ているはずだ。
When the culprit attacked Genji, they probably got a master
正
key.
常がもはや安全を保証しないことは
It's
明白だ
clear.
ぜ。
Locking up will no longer make you safe.
しか
The
し
chain was set. How did they
チ
do
ェ
it?
ーンまでされていたのに
No
ど
clue.
うやって
Guess you have to find out.
不可能だ。
It's impossible.
鎧戸もチェーンロックもしっかりかかっていた。
Ava living her worst life in this run. Damn. I mean, there was the run where she murdered her. There was the run where she murdered Hideyoshi. She presumably murdered Hideyoshi and George. That was probably her worst life. But this one sucks. This one's extra bad. Because she's not the one killing them. Hopefully. Hopefully she's not the killer this run. The shutters and chain were
マスター
firmly
キーがあ
shut.
ったって。あの
Even
部
with
屋
the
に押
master
し入る
key.
のは不可能だ。
It's impossible to force your way in here.
とベアトリーチェ様の仕業ですよ。
Must have been Beatrice-sama's doing. But this reminds me of
ベ
the
アトリーチェ様のはずありま
this
せん。
reminds me of the murder. Was it the which kill was that? Was that the second pair? It reminds me of that kill. I think it's in the first chapter where Ava and Hideyoshi are killed. I think they're trying to redo this with more information or like a slightly different angle. That's what it reminds me of right now. That's where I'm thinking like it's very familiar in that way. Where it's like, okay, they're doing this killing. It seems to be taking place in a similar guest room. Hideyoshi's dead in a similar location. No one's in the bathroom. And we were told previously that, like, there's no hidden rooms or entrances or exits. But somehow he identified the killer from his bed, asked who the fuck they were, got stabbed in the back, and died. Which is a bit unusual. So you're left to assume that presumably someone somehow got into the room and was able to identify the killer. There's no way Beatrice did
気
uh,
分
this.
は解かれ、すでに儀式の意味は失われたはず。
The epitaph's been solved. There shouldn't be any more reason to hold the ceremony.
わかるものが
Of course we can't understand that.
魔女にしか不可能だ。
It's impossible for anyone but a witch.
魔女にしか不可能。
Impossible for anyone but a witch, you say?
いい響きです。
It has a nice ring for it.
エリカちゃん、話を聞い
Erica, are you
て。
listening?
私たちはこれから全体行動って決まったわ
We're。sticking together from now
私た
on.
ちはまず秀吉さんの遺体を客前運ぶ。
First, we're carrying Hideyoshi-san's corpse to the
探偵
parlor.
ごっこはそれからにしない？
Can you hold off playing detective till we get there? When she heard the words playing detective, Erica grimaced visibly. Then everyone stumbled out and she took a single step into the now empty guest room, looked around, burned that scene into her eyes. She claimed to have a photographic memory. If that was true, these few seconds were more than enough for her. Later on, she'd sip black tea in the parlor while perusing the photograph of the scene inside her memory, playing the part of an armchair detective. Suddenly, her eyes stopped on the closet off to the side. A closet for hanging overcoats. If it was large enough to fit a coat on a hanger, a person should be able to hide in it. Slowly, Erica stretched her hand towards the closet. Erica's shoulder was grabbed roughly from behind.
行くぜ探偵さん。
Let's go, Miss
団
Detective.
体行動を乱すなって修学旅行で習わなかったか？
Didn't you ever learn how to stick together on school field trips?
私が旅行に行くと必ず人が死ぬってお約束がありまして。
Whenever I go traveling, someone always dies. Oh, close call. Close call.
何してやがるガキども。
What do you think you're doing, brats? Come, quickly. Rudolph told them to hurry. After clicking her tongue and glaring at the closet, Erica followed Battler back to the parlor for the time being. The sound of their footsteps finally faded. The time of terror when I feared that even the dripping of the cold sweat covering my cheeks might be noticed. It finally ended. What time is it? With my hand that still couldn't stop trembling, I slowly opened the closet door and dashed out into the hallway. Battler throwing. More like no, he's a team killer and incompetent. See, he's screwing his teammate over. His teammate might find Natsuhi there, but he's throwing. He's not. I guess he could be throwing by stopping her from doing that, but it's more like he's impeding his own ally in this fight. With my hand that couldn't stop trembling, I slowly opened the closet, dashed out. Why not check the clock? Check the clock, dumbass. It's okay, no one found me. It's still a good thing they didn't lock the door. If they had, I wouldn't be able to lock it behind me after I left, and they'd find that suspicious. Anyway, I should leave here. Then I'll return to my room and pretend I was sleeping the whole time. Yes, if I don't get back soon. A new murder's occurred. They'll probably try to tell me about it. They'll try to do it shortly after they carry Hideyoshi-san's. Check the time. You literally let a man die because you were obsessed about sitting in the closet for a fucking hour? Check the fucking time. Holy shit. She didn't even check the clock. She said she's going to open the closet periodically so you can check when she's supposed to leave on her watch. She didn't check her watch. She just ran out. What the fuck? You let a man die for this. There's literally a body there because you did nothing. What are you doing? Throwing it away? Like, I don't care if Kraus is in danger or not. He might even be the man on the phone. Like, who gives a fuck? I'm not sure if he is, but I don't think he is, but... Like, she literally let Hideyoshi die for the sole purpose of making sure her husband was alive because she could do it by staying in the closet and spending an hour. That's what she went. She was like, fuck this other guy. I'm staying in the closet for an hour. It doesn't matter if someone's dying outside. It doesn't matter if the killer could be detected. If I open my fucking eyes, I'm shutting my eyes, hiding in the closet. It doesn't matter. And then she just steps out without even checking her watch. Are you fucking kidding me? It wasn't even like it's an hour. It was like 10 fucking minutes. It was even specified. It was even specified that he wasn't... He hadn't even left 10 minutes ago. So it was like 10 minutes. It was like Hideyoshi leaves the parlor, 10-ish minutes. He was gone 10-ish minutes and he was already dead. So it was like maybe 15 minutes before they got the bolt cutters. Total. Like 50. She's been in the room for 15 minutes. 15 freaking minutes and she ran out. I can get around a phone call by saying I was asleep. I can get around a phone call by saying I'm asleep and don't notice, but they come knocking directly, it'll be bad. I have to get back quickly before they try to force their way in, and too late, you lose. That was a move. I don't know whether I should run out all noisily, hide my footsteps and walk in secret, or walk around normally as though nothing's happened. At the very least, it'll be bad if I bump into them on their way back to the parlor. Anyway, I'll head to my room at a quick pace without being noticed by anyone. I passed through the hallway. Natsuhi, oh boy. Natsuhi throwing as hard as possible. She's like, alright, I gotta do all this stuff to make sure Kraus doesn't die. So anyway, I'm gonna throw that. And that's why Natsuhi is the real thrower. Screw Battler, Natsuhi. Natsuhi. If I ever play Blood Bowl, I now know what I'm gonna call my my throwers. Natsuhi Ushiramiya. That's gonna be my main one. We'll play High Elves. She pompous enough, right? Or maybe we just play Skaven. Skaven. Or you know what? Maybe half the people in this family are like some version of evil. Fuck it. We'll play Dark Elves. I think Dark Elves have a thrower. They're not very good at the throwing game because I think they're supposed to play aggressive with like witches and shit. But anyway. Whew. Natsuhi's doing some sneaking, trying to escape the room before she gets caught, even though she's throwing her husband's life away here. Interesting choice, considering she let someone else die to make sure her husband lived. But hey, I'm not Natsuhi. I'm interested to see if she gets caught, but I'm afraid we're gonna have to find that one out next time.